Call it to order at 10 to 10. Or whatever it is, 9:50, yeah. Is there any additions to the agenda?
There's, well, just the in-camera items, and then there's those quotes from Van Electric for replacing the lights and stuff like that, which we can discuss as
On the business, 9.8?
9.8. And that's just as you guys met with Van Electric, right? You, Tim, and
Yeah.
here, and to go over the lights that aren't working and the ballasts and stuff.
Okay, so need an approval for the agenda.
I will make that, I'll make the motion to approve the agenda.
Okay. Thank you. Public hearing, none. I think probably what we'll do is run right into the delegation.
Yeah.
So we have the fire chief, Mark Dennis, here.
Yeah.
And he's going to talk to us about the boat lift for emergency ski jet and polar bear dip. Take her away, Mark.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
You can hear me?
I can, yes.
All right, good. So thanks for allowing me to speak today to you guys. I'm just here to kind of give you an update on our project. The wording's a little bit off on what we've got there, but essentially the project started in 2021. And what it is, we've been requested multiple times to come out to Buffalo Lake South Shore for various reasons by the general public for 911 calls in regards to, you know, public assist or, you know, people missing or boats distressed on the water and all those types of things. The problem, the situation we have is we have water rescue equipment, but not, it's specifically designed for ice water rescue and more so swift, like in the river, but nothing, we don't have a motorized boat for the lake or anything like that. So years ago, just going to give you a little history, when Duncan Babchuk was the sergeant in Stettler, we got together with him and trained with the RCMP and the use of their boat, and that was kind of our plan. However, I don't think Duncan really ever had approval from K Division to allow us to use the boat, because that privilege has been taken away. We do assist them, the RCMP rather, but we don't have the means to use their boat or anything like that. So we thought, well, we need to come up with some equipment to be able to do some sort of rescue on the lake. So we have a Stettler Regional Firefighters Association, and that association is made up of the volunteers of both all the fire stations within the region. And from there, we raise funds for various things that we don't get funding for from our municipal sources. So out of that, we started raising money towards a project to be able to purchase a couple of jet skis and a rescue sled that would be towed behind the jet skis. And this is the preferred method for rescuing people out of water, rather than trying to pull a boat up alongside another boat in a storm situation and try and transfer people from another boat. It just doesn't work. You're more plucking people out of the water. Anyway, that's kind of how the whole project started. From there, we've done a presentation to the county of Stettler and asked for some funding for that, and they have put some funding forward to support that. And in the meantime, we did the polar dip, which was very successful, and we raised a bunch of funds towards this project in that situation. So essentially, the project is 2 jet skis, a trailer, and these rescue sleds that tow behind the jet skis. That's essentially phase 1 of this project. So ideally, what we really want to do is have the jet skis in the water during open water season. And so they would be situated on a boat lift, sitting in Roshan Sands in the security of the bay at the dock, at the public dock. So phase 2 of that project was to get a boat lift and attach that to the, I'm not sure the proper wording, but I think they call it the Roshan Sands Marina. So we would attach it to that dock, and that's where this equipment would sit. And the reason being is everyone here knows that when there's a storm on the lake, everyone that has a boat is on the lake usually as long as they can be, and then they all decide to come off the lake at the same time, and the boat lifts become overwhelmed. And for emergency services to arrive and then try and put a boat in the water would be quite a conflict. So we would like to have our equipment in the water ready to go. So just for information, we've teamed up with the Stellar Regional Emergency Services, that's the disaster fellas, and through the regional group, and we put a grant application together to get funding to purchase the dock component of it. And the reason why we partnered up with them is because they first of all had the grant, and secondly, the RCMP, we want to be able to station the RCMP boat on the same dock, and also Fish and Wildlife wanted to be involved in this as well. So it's kind of morphed from a dock that would be just situated for a couple of jet skis to a place for the RCMP to park their boat, and Fish and Wildlife, and of course the fire department equipment would be stationed out there all the time. I think their idea is they want to leave the boat out there, the RCMP boat there all the time as well, instead of parking at the parking lot in town in Stellar. So the reason why I'm here is I'm looking for support from the Summer Village of Roshan Sands and White Sands and some financial assistance to go towards this project. So I just want to give you kind of an overview of where we're at financially. So the cost of the phase 1 of the project for the 2 units plus the life sled units is $72,000, and we've raised $10,000 from the fire department, Stellar, the Stellar Fire Department Association. We've raised a little over $21,000 from the polar dip. We have some corporate donations that total around $15,000. And we have the County of Stellar that's put up $10,000 with some, I guess, it's kind of a challenge. They've said that they, if the Summer Village of White Sands or Ocean Sands would match that, that's what it would be. Or they'll match whatever is contributed from the other municipalities. And then this season, we're looking at trying to do a polar dip again. And I can talk about that later. But so if you do the math, we're sitting about somewhere around $16,000, I think, short of our budget that we're trying to get to. So I'll turn it over to you to ask any questions, but that's essentially what I'm presenting today.
I have a quick question, Mark. Would the county of Camrose and the county of Lacombe be donating any money as well, being that they would benefit from this as well?
That's a great question. I haven't approached them in the area of backing this project. I did approach them to ask if they would, if they have the means of doing any water rescue, that we could actually just call like mutual aid, so you know, for them to help us. And they don't have any equipment either. So that's a great question. It could be something that I could go to them and present the same thing and say, hey, would you guys be willing to donate some money to this project as well?
Well, I guess, you know, like over at Pelican Point there's a couple hundred boats moored over at Pelican Point, you know, and they might need help as much as we would need help. And even Brazeth Beach over there, there's got to be 20 or 30 boats moored over there, you know.
Right. Well, I agree. And a lot of these calls that we receive come from there, because the wind comes from the northwest and they end up drifting over into the South Shore.
Well, that's
Pluck them out of the water.
Yeah, they could get in real trouble too, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great project, and I think that has a lot of merit. But I think that we should approach anybody that would benefit from it to share in the cost.
So part of the grant application that we put forward for the dock component, we because you know, the provincial government, everyone's really big on collaboration, and so that was part of that, is part of the grant application. So you know, is part of collaborating with them. So we're hoping you know, phase 2 part of this is also as important, and we're hoping that the collaboration part of that. So that's a great point, and I'll pursue that. I will. I'll go and ask them.
And I guess my question to Dean would be, is this something that we can use grant money for?
Well, if we're part of their grant, we can't really use our grants for that, other grants.
Okay.
But
Fair
we
enough.
can fundraise money and work with the hall, and it's up to you guys where you want to get the funds from. But if we're part of the emergency grant, I don't know of any other recreation lake grants we can apply for at this moment.
Okay, fair enough.
But the county of Lacombe and the county of Camrose may join and collaborate on the grant to help too.
I'm
like maybe not Lacombe so much, because they don't really have anything on the lake, you know. None of, like, there's no county of Lacombe residents certainly use Pelican Point.
So,
right.
well, the lake is in the county of Lacombe as well, right?
Right.
So they might be worth talking to as well. So
Yeah, and they got pretty deep pockets.
Well, they would certainly, their people would certainly probably utilize the lake a fair bit.
Yeah, they do, Bob. There's a lot up in the marina there at Pelican Point that are county of Lacombe residents.
yeah, and Roshan does manage the Narrows, so it's part of their coverage area, and there's people that launch boats out of there as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's about the only thing they got. Like, there's just some farmsteads up there.
Then, well, McDonald, of course, they have a boat launch too, right?
Yeah.
But that's county, but they haven't been approached as well, the old McDonald private.
Old McDonald's made a financial contribution
Okay.
corporately, I mean, we could approach them again. They've already contributed some, but
So this 72,000 is just for the machinery and the trailer,
Deck of the docks.
it's for the 2 jet skis,
the baskets.
the 2 rescue sleds that get towed behind, and a trailer.
Okay.
And the trailer's like a dual trailer, like it puts both on the same trailer. Ideally, the trailer would only be used to take them out in the fall
Yeah,
and put them in the spring. Right now, because we don't have a dock, we either are going to maybe see if we can find a place to park them. I think you actually brought up the idea of there might be some boat lift that we could, because there's some boat lifts that get left.
Yeah, there's abandoned boat lifts on the
Abandoned boat lifts.
lakefront here that nobody has claimed that could be
Right.
repurposed if we can't find the owner.
I really don't wanna leave them in the water
no,
slopping around. I'd
No.
like to
Yeah.
put them on a boat lift so they don't
in
get.
a lift with the canopy to
Yeah.
keep the bird shit out. But the, so then the second part to get into the marina at the lake over at Roshan, they would have to add some pieces to it?
Yeah, so, I never explained that part. So, I don't know exactly their title, but it's the Roshan Sands Marina Group or something like that. They have a committee, and anyway, I discovered that they're looking at replacing that whole dock system. And because I had approached them and said, well, we'd really like to just join on to that existing dock and just put our little boat lift there and mount the stuff there. And that's when they said, well, actually, we're looking at redoing all of that. And so we got on their agenda, and we've had a discussion with them to say, hey, we want to be part of your revitalization. We're not looking for you to actually buy our dock, but we want to be part of your dock system. And so that's kind of where that sits. Why there? I guess a couple of things. The grass area just outside of the parking lot, kind of where the golf course is a prime space for us to land stars. We've landed stars there before. And there's enough parking space there in that gated area, not necessarily the parking lot, but the gated area where we can actually, because when we come, we're gonna come with a rescue truck and ambulance and maybe a support vehicle. And so we're gonna need space to park, but if it's July long weekend, that parking lot's gonna be full of vehicles with boat trailers and because we've done this before.
Sure.
And so that space would allow us to actually.
Yeah, I think so.
In there.
You can, I think the one thing.
That's why we picked that marina, and I think it's really best sheltered space in the area, but
May
at
have
the time
to
of a storm.
get going on this thing for the
Generally winds come in the northwest.
fire.
That's
Yeah.
the best place to be.
Okay. All right, Ed. I'll let them know.
So does the marina,
Okay, thanks.
is it a society, Dean? Is the marina folks a
Not
society?
yet. So that was the whole issue with the lease.
So they don't have an LLC on that?
No. So we had a meeting with them this fall. They were in the process of forming as a society because without a society, without insurance, they actually have no right of access at all.
Right,
But they, being the government of Alberta, thought that it was the village's marina.
oh,
So they thought we were paying for insurance, but our insurance doesn't cover marinas anymore. Our RMA insurance doesn't cover marinas. It covers a dock and liabilities around the dock that we own, but that's it. It doesn't cover anything else. It covers the boat launch, and because it's a private marina, not a public marina, it's not included in any of the insurance policies that we have. So they have to have their own society because they can't handle money without a society, and they have to file their financials, and then they have to form a board, and then they have to get insurance on their unit. So that's where they're sitting, and we're hoping to get an update from them right away. We just haven't got one yet. So that was as of October, 1st of October, when he had that meeting. So.
yeah, well, I guess that could take a while too with
Well,
environmental
the
parks
society
too.
doesn't usually take more than 30 days. I just don't know where they are in the process because we haven't had communications with them in December, so.
But to get a license of occupation from,
That has to be under our license of occupation,
Well,
has
that's
to be
gonna be under
negotiated at the
yours?
same time with Roshan
Oh,
Sands, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So Mark, about how much extra do you think, or do you have any ballpark idea, like with the docking system and the lifts? You're only looking for the lifts for the 2 Sea-Doos, right?
Yeah, no, we're talking about two things. So, phase one is the Sea-Doos,
Right.
the sleds and the trailer.
For 72,000.
And if we had that, we'd be operational. I mean,
Yeah.
it would be less than ideal. We'd probably maybe partner with somebody and maybe they would allow us to put a boat lift beside their dock, and that's probably what I would do. Maybe get my hands on a used boat lift and we'd go with that. Ideally, if we got the grant is kind of phase two, which is the dock and the boat lift for us. And that would allow us to then permanently put something in place, for the future to be able to store these 2 jet skis. And then also it's a source for the RCMP and Fish and Wildlife to store their boat at that same dock. But we're looking to fund that through the grant. If we didn't get the grant application, that cost is about $41,000 for that.
Okay.
So if we're talking about phase one, we're about $16,000 short.
Okay.
Now, I'm hoping that we'll be fairly successful, maybe raise another $5,000 or something from the polar dip. I don't think the polar dip this year will be nearly as successful as it was the first time, because it was the first time. I don't know. I really don't know. It's hard to say with how these things go. That's another form of funding. We do, as the Regional Fires Association, we have additional funds that we could dip into. We don't really want to, because we like to support other things that are going on in the community. We use that money to donate to other groups and other things and stuff, so that our group, our president has said, well, we'd like to put $10,000 towards that. If we had to, we could, dip into some additional funds to do that, but that's kind of where that sits. So there's some fundraising things going on in the background still to hopefully, our goal is to have something for 2020 for this year, 2023, to have, by summer, to have something that we could be able to do a rescue. So,
Has Roshan committed yet?
no, I was hoping to be on their agenda for this month, but it's going to be in February now. Okay, I missed it.
Mark, who's paying the ongoing costs of this, like to winterize the jet skis and things like
Fire
that?
department.
Okay.
So the regional fire department has agreed to insure them and maintain them after they're, we would probably purchase them as the regional volunteer firefighter association, and then turn it over to the municipality, and then they would insure them.
So this would be sort of a one-time thing, barring anything else happening down the line, breakdowns or something like that.
There's not a lot of, I don't think going forward, there's not going to be a lot of giant maintenance expense unless we, destroyed something.
Okay.
I guess that would be an insurance claim.
Look at what happened to the boat.
What boat?
The
Oh, the RCMP boat. Yeah, let's not talk about that. That was, quite honestly, those guys were just trying to, they had no knowledge, no boat experience, and they, if they would have just communicated to us, they said they weren't going to come. We asked them to come. They said they didn't have anybody operate the boat, and the last minute they decided, well, let's just go out there. And they went to White Sands, and
Instead of the
absolute worst place. That's where we were gonna meet someone else to borrow a boat, and we didn't even know that was going down. So, I mean, I have enough experience that I wouldn't have let them do that, but they just did it on their own. It's an unfortunate scenario.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a great idea and a great project, Mark. And I thank you for putting this together, because I think it's I think it's quite a good thing.
Yeah, I don't have, I mean, I wish I had better stats. I've been talking to, I mean, I of course have the stats of the calls that we get called out to, but there's so much that happens out here that's just being taken care of by the local people. That I found out after the fact that some boat capsized and someone went out there and rescued them, and the outfit that's running out of Old McDonald's, they have jet skis that they're renting out there. And I was talking to them, and they said that they've been out there multiple times, you know, rescuing people and doing that. And their comment to me is that we don't even have anybody that's trained to do that. So they don't really want to be doing that, but they're doing it. And so I said, you know, can you just keep track of those times that you go out there? So, because I do get challenged. There's a lot of people say, well, it's not necessary. We don't need that. And I don't know, it's lousy being the person on the shore when you're being asked to go do something and you have no means to do it other than to stand there and watch.
Well, they
Well,
changed.
I've been at this lake long enough to remember Russ Simpson hopping in his boat every time there was a storm and going out there and doing a sweep of the lake, right? Like 45 years ago. So.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, that's
Thank you.
good presentation, and we'll get back to you.
So can you send us a scan copy or something
can.
of information
I can-
that we can?
Yeah, I'll give you this for now. I printed, I didn't know what we were gonna be doing today, so
Yeah.
I didn't know that we were.
So Roshan is on February 5th. So you'll be on the agenda with the RCMP detachment, new acting staff sergeant, I think.
Okay.
So I'm sure he'll have something to give input on.
You can scan this.
Yeah, I'll
and
stand
send
it
to
at the
me.
office and send it to you guys.
I just got a phone call from Ed. Ed's internet's not working, so.
Yeah, I've been texting with him here as well, so. Unfortunately, it's unstable.
While I'm here, on the other part on there is the polar dip. Is there any other questions in regards to that before I move on to the
No,
polar dip?
that's fine.
No,
So your timing for the funding, what's your timing? So, because we can apply for some recreation funding as well, so. So, as well as what council has to make for a decision, so what are you thinking about your timing? When do you need the funding from us? And you mentioned something that we had to match a certain amount for the county to contribute their portion, or is that?
So, I mean, I've carried that was a 2022 budget item.
Okay,
And so they've carried that forward. And so I just said, hey, you know, can we just carry that forward into 2023? So their contribution is carried forward, but it comes with strings, right?
yeah,
And I mean, like I said earlier, the goal is to have something in the water this year. We have we had to, because these jets, you can't just go buy jet skis these days. You have to pre-order everything. So we put our name down for these two. We've already spec'd them out. We put our name down for these two jet skis. And then we put a deposit down on them. So we have to, we'll have to decide pretty quick whether we're gonna commit to this or not. I think that if worst case scenario, we have enough funding to be able to purchase them. Like I'm saying that our regional, we would dip into it. I don't think, because if we didn't do this, we'd be waiting a whole nother year to get on that list again. So honestly, I think we're probably gonna go ahead and purchase them anyway. But it will be.
just one clarification, Mark. The 10,000 from the county, do they want us to match the 10 or they want us and Roshan together to match the 10?
You already said.
The $10,000, that would be split between Roshan and White Sands? Is that kind of the idea?
No, of course not. They put up $10,000. They said if Summer Village of Roshan Sands individually and the Summer Village of Roshan Sands matched it, we would do that. But they also said that if it isn't, not to hold your feet to the fire to say, it doesn't have to be $10,000. If it's less than that, they would just match whatever you guys are saying. So if you donated $500, they would give us $500. That's the scenario. Yeah. So they're matching whatever the Summer Village of Roshan Sands is gonna do.
So we should probably coordinate this with the county and Roshan.
Yeah,
So we should maybe have a talk with them and coordinate it to some extent. And maybe if you found out if the county of Camrose would give us some funding, then we could coordinate with the county of Stettler and Roshan.
yeah, maybe it should be that way. Maybe it should be coordinated with all the municipalities that are involved and say, hey, we're all gonna put up a certain amount of money and.
We all kicked in
Yeah.
5,000 or 7,000 or something like that. It would cover the funding necessary.
Yeah.
If all 5, Lacombe or waptever, if all the counties and villages coordinated together. Now, I don't know how hard that is, whether that's like herding cats, but
Well, it can actually, it's slow though, but it could go through Buffalo Lake IDP. But then it would have to go back to the council, and the next IDP meeting is in April sometime, or,
Right.
yeah, so that's getting too late.
but I
But
think,
can we-
It might be just me going to them and doing the same thing that I'm doing here and just saying, hey, is there a chance that we could all collaborate together and just come up with a number?
Like we could have a special meeting, like we could have a special council meeting that take 5 minutes to make a vote or whatever. If we don't have to wait till our next meeting. If all of a sudden everybody else says,
Well, you can
everybody
decide
needs
in
to kick
camera
in.
today,
Pardon?
right? You can decide in camera today, or you can decide in the meeting today if you want to put something in your budget,
Well, we could
because
say
it's a capital.
up to a certain amount or something like that, right?
You can make a decision, I can notify them, we're willing to contribute, as long as Roshan Sands contributes, we can contribute up to a certain amount, whatever you guys determine, if it's 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000, whatever you guys decide. Then if Roshan Sands matches, then you've got it in your capital budget for this year coming up. So then you can decide where the money's coming from, and hopefully we're able to get some other grant fund, like a community grant fund or something that we can help. So
Yeah, I don't, like I say, I think if we're gonna do this,
we don't
we
need,
need
yeah, we don't need a special meeting, so.
to, okay,
there's also a Buffalo Lake management team meeting. So it's got county councilor for Buffalo Lake and from Macomb and Camrose on it. And that's coming at February, in about 3 weeks, and the meeting's gonna be here, so I can certainly bring it up.
Maybe that's the meeting I should be at then.
Yeah, it'd be nice for you guys to come and present, because it's usually just a couple representatives and Fish and Wildlife and
Oh,
like
wow.
you've got the RCMP and you guys came.
Well, I'll be at the table. Well, there we go. That's maybe the answer.
Yeah, RCMP don't generally attend, but.
But they could for this,
They
because
could.
they're looking for the,
And Environment and Parks is there, Ashley.
and transportation is there, because the regional transportation guy hands out all the funding. So he'll be there.
what meeting is that, Lauren, again?
The Buffalo Lake Management Team.
Okay,
And it's just an advisory board, but it'd be a good place for them to bring back the information to all of the
Yeah,
county.
like if you
councils
had,
and
if you
everything.
had this,
Yeah.
these printouts, and you could take them.
Yeah, well, I'd probably do something maybe a little.
it would be nice to have all of the funding secured by, sometime later in February or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not how it works, unfortunately.
I come from a world where you just get things done.
Yeah, because you're a dentist. I'm just gonna check the calendar here. I think it's the 30th of January. But I'll give you a ring. Mark.
What's that called again?
Buffalo Management Team. It actually derived from the stabilization group when they first started with pump system and canals.
Okay. All right. So I think that's a great idea. We'll probably maybe pursue that and try and set up a meeting when we can have all those people at the table and move that forward. The polar dip, we had a meeting with the Board of Trade group that's kind of organizing the fishing derby. And the idea was to do the polar dip on the same weekend as the fishing derby. And so we talked about what that looks like. And so the Board of Trade folks are actually looking into how we would do the registration and sort of things. We're looking at maybe changing it slightly from what we did previously, and having a little bit different registration process, but essentially that's in the process. The location, we haven't fully decided that, but I'm leaning towards probably doing it in the same location we did before, which is just off of the Roshan Sands Provincial Park swimming area. And we'd probably, if we did do this, we would cut the hole in the ice on the Friday and then barricade it off. And so we're not affecting the fishing, because we don't want to be out there making a bunch of noise and, pissing off the fishermen. So the idea was to cut the hole on Friday, and then they're undecided whether they would do this on Sunday or Monday. Like Sunday, it would be late in the afternoon if we did it, or Monday. So there's a few things that are not decided. That was just our first meeting that we had in regards to the polar dip part. They've been working quite a bit already on the fishing trip or the fishing derby. So that's the quick and dirty update on the polar dip. Any questions?
So you decided not to host it in White Sands on the Monday, and decided it was easier to just do it.
I don't think so, and I'll tell you the reason why. I mean, I appreciate the fact that we could use the facility and people might still come over here anyway, but the problem is we have to limit the amount of people that can go in, because when they go in, they have to be warmed up.
Yes.
And if they said they were going to come here to warm up, well, by the time they got out of the water or got in a pickup truck and drove over here, they'd be warm. So we have a tent right there, and medical people, and so they'd come out of the water,
So they
go
can
into
go
the
to the
tent,
hall
get
as
warmed
well.
up, and then the other thing is we're access to the lake. Last time we did it, we were hoping that they would park in the parking lot and walk out there, because we have to be quite a distance away from the shore to get enough depth for them to jump in. However, most people chose to drive, which became a problem because people, I guess they forgot they were driving on ice. And they just all started parking like as close as they could get. So we had to take over we had to direct people where they could park and where they couldn't park. And because there was quite a few people that came out there, which was, I was pretty concerned that we were gonna have some catastrophic ice failure or something like that. So we did do a calculation before, kind of sort of figure out how many vehicles we could have out there, but it's just a wild ass guess. So those are some of the things we talked about, the depth of the snow on the ice and that there'd be a lot more snow over here than there would be over there. And those types of things. So that's kind of how we came to this, you know, it hasn't been officially, but it's kind of up to me, and I'm telling you that I think it's gonna be over there.
Okay.
So, and I think there isn't a lot of, the other thing we were gonna do is let people know in their package that gets sent out to the fishermen, to let them know that this is where the polar dip is gonna be. So don't come and set up your ice fishing shack right here, because this wouldn't be a good spot. And there isn't really anybody that fishes over there currently. Like in front of, like they're all either over in front of the Rochette Sands Bay or Bowman's or those types of places. So anyway,
We'll
that's,
just make sure we clear the areas of the snow for parking lot area, because we do have 2 close parking lots. to
yeah,
that.
I think it's ideal. The location is pretty good.
Yeah, and access.
Yeah,
Well, in case something happens, to access for you guys.
yeah.
Get the hell off of it.
Yeah.
Okay, good, thanks,
So-
Mr. Dennis.
If there isn't any other questions, I mean, we can talk about fire too. It's maybe a good opportunity if you have any questions in that regard. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna leave you.
Thank you.
I think probably I'd like to arrange maybe a short presentation at our AGM or something. This,
Sure, I'd love to do that.
it's the long weekend in July.
Oh, maybe I wouldn't love to do that, but no, I'm kidding. Yes,
But I'll let you know. If you can, or even if you can send.
yeah, I will do something.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just let me know.
Said it was recording.
Okay, well, thanks, Mark.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
In that other meeting. We are seeing these, what's the staff sergeant? What's his name?
England, isn't it? Bruce is gone at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
No, I'll get hold of the office.
Email. Can't remember saying, I think it's England is his last name. Comes from right here.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Mark.
Appreciate it. Yeah, this is a really quiet presentation.
See ya. Okay, so minutes for the last meeting. Did you have any concerns? Bob?
No, I don't know.
Okay,
Um,
I had a couple of things. Just a reminder for the ICS training for yourself and
Okay,
Tim, 100 and 200.
well, we're gonna schedule it with the Stettler Fire Hall, because we need to do the 101, 202, then. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
101's just online though, right?
Yeah, you can do 101. Did you do yours already?
I did 101. I did 101 online. It only took a couple hours.
Okay. Yeah, I did 200 last week and it was actually it was 2 days. 2 different days, a week apart. I had just
Cause I'm gonna have Erin take it, cause she runs the park this summer. She manages the park, so I'm gonna have Lauren and Erin take it as well, so they're all aware of, if we do have a fire on the west, then they're all aware of what the emergency plan is and who's taking responsibility and actions, so we know our roles.
Yeah,
So,
okay. And I had just was approached by Craig Peel, and he's applying for that grant for the traffic study.
okay,
And he wasn't aware whether there was a letter at the county office stating that we were in favor.
Okay. Cause I did send a response by email, but I didn't send a letter yet, so.
Okay, so maybe even the email to Craig will.
Yeah,
'cause
well,
he's-
he just started, so he
Yeah.
probably may have not got forwarded the note.
Okay, and he's
So-
the guy that's gonna apply for it. And also, the Ahern fence decision, was that sent to them, a letter sent to them?
No, no letter. That's the Ahern
Yeah.
fence?
Yeah.
No.
I printed it off the motion stuff here just Monday or Friday, so that I'll go over the next payroll
Okay,
or next.
So we don't send her a letter saying that what our decision was, or how do we?
No, it happened right before Christmas and I dropped the ball on it. I thought I sent it to them, but I was talking about the other lady that we made a decision on,
Donna?
Donna, yeah.
the Donna and also the
Oh, Anna.
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 So that's who I thought you were talking about. No, I didn't send it to Karen Ahern, on the fence.
Okay, yeah, and if you do send a letter, if we could just get a copy of it, just because I want to know in case she phones me or something and asks me to clarify anything, I want to make sure that I know exactly what we sent them in the letter.
Well, normally I just send the motion of council with a brief note and a discussion if they want to contact us.
Okay,
And if it's a financial amount, that's it. I don't send detailed letters because
Uh-oh.
it's basically the council's decision. That's all the information that they get.
okay, that's fair enough, yeah. I just wanted to make sure in case there was anything in a letter or something like that, and then she, got questioned on it, I didn't want to look like I was uninformed, So as long as I know what the council decision is, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's about it for me. And so Mark's done, bylaws and policies. Nothing there, Dean?
Nothing.
Bylaw and policy?
No.
No, okay.
Unless you guys have anything you want to bring up for the next meetings, I don't have any review of anything at this point. Because we've
No.
gone over snow removal, we've gone over dust control for this year, gravel, we've gone over park access, security codes. We've pretty much covered most of the things that you guys wanted to cover. The things that we have to cover, we need to get a drainage plan in place for the community, and then we have to deal with that area, the Kane's property and at the end of 3rd Street, so it is. And so we have to deal with that. We have a drainage plan in place, submit that to Alberta Environment. And then we also have to have, whenever Alberta Environment gets back to us, we have to start talking about negotiating the LOC, but they haven't got back to us. So they've told us they're handling it, so that,
Well, then we'll let them.
yeah, because
Because,
right now politically, I don't think they want to cause a ruckus, because it could be an election right away, so as soon as May, so.
well.
But those are the two biggest items that we're gonna be
Yeah.
dealing with.
I have had, just on that word, I have had people asking me whether they should apply against the results.
Yeah.
And
Right now, it's status quo, what it's been forever has been, that's what's gonna stay until we get
yeah,
leadership
So
from
I'm
Alberta
just-
Environment on it.
I'm just gonna tell them to start doing it, and then that might push it a bit too.
Yeah,
who
But
knows?
we've got tags, we printed tags for everybody, so everybody who registered last year will get a tag in the mail with their IDs and everything on it, so they can zip tie it to their, zip tie it to their dock, and they'll get an invoice for this year, so we know everybody that's registered and has the tags on their dock. So it's just a matter of the couple, I don't know, there's 3 or 4 abandoned ones that we have to, as council has to decide what they're gonna do with those abandoned ones. We have to identify them, and if nobody claims them, then we have to move them up here and either hold a public auction or something with them. But that won't happen until, April
Well,
maybe?
some of that stuff that's been on shore for a while, you're talking thousands of dollars worth of equipment for sure.
Yeah, But
So I'm
it's,
sure
the frames are there, but all the wood and all the other stuff's pretty much rotten and fallen off some of that equipment.
Mhm.
But I mean, if the fire department is looking for some cheap just stuff right away and they can retrofit a frame to handle a jet ski, then maybe they can utilize it. If not, we'll have to see what value is. If nobody wants to bid on it because it's from the 70s and it's handmade, then well, I
Yeah,
don't
some of
know.
that old
I don't
steel
know what it
stuff
is. So,
I don't know how
but
much
those
is there.
we'll have to address. Yeah.
Okay. So financials. You wanna
So-
take us through that? Financials?
Yeah. So, you know, this is the year end, we cut off the year end. Normally, well, most municipalities do, they keep, 2002 open. And they start in 2003 with new invoices that come in for 2003 payroll and stuff. But what we decided, because Lori is more comfortable with this, is that on Tuesday or Wednesday, we decided to cut off on the 4th or 5th of January. And so all new payments would go into 2003, and then Lori would just journal entry them back into 2002 for the audit, because she's preparing all the audit work. So we still have, of course, like TELUS bills and utility bills and stuff coming in from last year.
I think we're almost
Next
done.
week should be the last that we get. And then Lori is gonna prepare the year-end financials for us. So, basically, this is more or less where we finish the year, so, you know, overall, we ended up within $9,600 of our budget, but there was still some expenses when this report was created by Lori. So, you know, it'll probably be closer to zero balance budget, like we have a balanced budget. We projected, because we had additional expenses, the biggest additional expense we had that was approved by council was the $40,000 you approved to send to the county for removing the road ban and possibly entering into the road servicing agreement. So that was the biggest single expense that we had that wasn't in the budget. So if we didn't have that expense, we'd actually be sitting at $49,000 surplus as of whenever this was printed on January 8th. So, anyways, so that's the first one. So this, Bob, do you have any questions on that? It's just basically a statement of revenue and expenditures by department. It's the totals that you had asked for, not the actual,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. That's
When-
fine.
When we go through year end, when Lori prepares the financials for you guys and the auditor approves them, we'll go through each departmental function. And then if you want to look at the details, we'll have the details as well.
Yes, that's what I'd like. Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
So then the second one is revenues and expenditures broken out by major functions. So, so it looks at the admin, the planning and parks and rec. And, you know, as far as the overall revenues, we were pretty much bang on as far as revenues. The areas that we ended up being slightly over was on the revenue side was we had more RV registrations this year than we did previously. And then we collected a lot more in outstanding taxes from previous years. Because when we started the tax season, we had 26 outstanding as of July 1st from the previous year. And right now we only have 6 and only, I think 2 are outstanding for long term. So more than 1 year. So we're down to 6 outstanding. So we collected all previous year's taxes. So that was through the letter writing campaign and, you know, contacting people and tracking them down. And so we collected quite a bit more. So that was the revenue side. On the expense side, you know, we're pretty much on budget for what you guys had wanted or projected from the budget that you put in place with Melissa. On the check listing, is there any concerns? You basically signed all the checks and have gone through everything. And you have any concerns, Bob, on the check listing?
No, it looks fine to me.
Okay. So the biggest expense, just so everybody knows, every quarter we get a large invoice from the school division or the provincial government for the school division. And that's our single biggest expense each quarter, is that school division expense. It usually happens on December, like the March, July, August, October, and then December. So then the next report is the bank reconciliation or the cash position. So right now we were sitting at just over $1 million as of year end, but we have some expenses that are gonna come out of this. I had brought up before Christmas, because I was working on getting the best GICs rates and stuff for Roshan Sands. I brought up the need to put some of this in layered GICs out throughout the year so that we can make money on our money, because it's paying 3.9% of an open GIC that you can take out after 30 days. You can take out anytime during the year on 30-day increments, and a closed GIC, which was paying 4.75. And now the rates have gone up. So I think we should prepare as a council to put a good chunk of this money, because a lot of it is unexpended grant funds. We've got 266,000 in unexpended grant funds sitting in our bank account. We could probably afford and still operate. We could probably afford to stick over $500,000 in GICs that are paying us money that we can use to pay off these projects. But previously we were making like 0.02 or 0.2%. So we weren't making anything, but now with the rates going up, we can actually make some significant funds for the community. So that would be my suggestion. So if council wants to, I can enter into agreement with the bank and have you guys go into town and sign the GIC agreement, so we can get some of this money invested.
Yeah, so when would you go see what the Royal Bank would do for us?
Well, I've already know, because I called everybody for Roshan. So I already checked. I've got Royal Bank's rates, I've got TD's rates, I've got I called the community credit union, and so I have their rates. And I went online and I looked at ATB and others. Some are advertising upwards of 5.1% if you lock in, and there's some that are actually averaging 5.25. I think it was Alberta Treasury Branch just recently had an ad if you lock in, but you know, because you guys have to be somewhat flexible, I can't lock in all the money, because you have to, even if we do get the grant money for any projects you do this summer, because you have to spend that MSI capital money that's not in our bank but sitting in the government's bank.
Yeah.
If you spend that money and do the hall expansion or whatever you do this year, we have to access some of that money that'll be in GICs. So we'll have to have at least a portion of it will have to be redeemable. But you know, if the rates have gone up, because they were 4.75 before Christmas, they've gone up to 5.25, and our bank TD is willing to match, then you know.
Yeah, I think we do that. I think we do that as soon as possible, and
Yeah,
like say at least $500,000 that we put in, and
Yeah.
and if we put it in redeemable, I mean, even if
because
we're getting over
Roshan has
4%, it's better than nothing, right?
yeah, because Roshan's had their money invested for the last more than 30 days now, so they already made their first 38-day increments, and they invested the maximum they could do and still operate until we collect taxes. So the other good thing that we have in our favor right now is on the next one of the next reports here is we have a lot of people have signed up with the tax installment payment plan.
So that's
So,
what, 20 a year.
Yeah, that's generating almost 20,000 a month that people are paying into. So that helps us with cash flow until tax time, and that gives us you know, opportunity to invest the maximum we can to generate more money for the community. And then the next report is the tax trial balance, which shows only 6 people have any outstanding taxes at all, and only 2 people are beyond a year and one is only 73 beyond into the second year. There is one property that is, $1,000 into the second year and, $2,800 and $2,900 into the first year outstanding. And so we went from, having a significant amount outstanding to having, basically $6,600 outstanding from 26,000. So we collected over 20,000 of outstanding taxes. So I am continuously sending letters out to these individuals trying to track them down through social media and their phone numbers and friends, whatever, to try to get them to be aware that they're outstanding, because some of them, they're either getting the letters, or we had one particular individual who had passed. And so all his mail was going in, but nobody was paying attention to it. And then his family finally got on board. We talked to the family and they were settling the estate and they cleared everything off. So, there's a couple of situations like that, but most of the time it's just because people don't send us a change of address. And it's their obligation we only go with the address that's on title.
Right, so if you phone me or email me names, I might have phone numbers, because I got a real big phone directory. If you don't have it on their property
Okay.
file.
Yeah, so I'm down to 2 properties that are outstanding more than $3,000. That's it, and then the rest are all under the $600. So we're collecting them all. So, and which is good for cash flow. And then as far as the number of people on the payment plan, that's the next report. And so this was monthly tips as of a week or so ago, but we're still adding people on the tips program. As long as they're willing to pay January when they get the February payment taken out, then we're now collecting $19,755 a month, which covers our basic utilities, council expenses, almost all the administration and labor expenses. So it covers all of our expenses except for the big one is the school, and then minor things that we have to buy, prepare for the season coming up, or repairs of equipment and stuff like that. So we should be, cash flow wise, we're fairly safe to invest a very chunk of our money. And if it's 30-day redeemable and you can redeem any part of that in your GIC, then we can forecast what money we'll need based on what's coming out.
Yeah, well, certainly.
So do we need a motion on that to,
I'll work on it first thing tomorrow or this afternoon. Yes, Bob?
Do we need a motion?
Well, I'll get a motion after the finances, after you guys approve the
Okay.
finances.
okay,
So and the last one is I just wanted to put it in to show you guys that with the RV permits, we do pay someone to go around and check every lot for RVs. And we start that, and she does it once a month in the winter, but she also does it starting May 1st. I think she does it weekly
Yeah, I think I asked her to do just twice in the winter.
in the winter.
Yeah.
So this is the report that we get back, and it shows all the people that have storage of their trailers. But then it also prepares us we've been sending invoices in September based on what they use. And now we have 2 years worth of use. So now we can send the invoice in May, June, so that people are aware of what they can and can't have on the property. There was some confusion with the new land use bylaw that some people thought that they could have 2, and some people have a house, so they get to have 1, but then other people weren't removing their RVs off the lot, so they were getting charged the extra 300 because they never moved the RV every 30 days. So, and as a second RV.
So on this system here, it's
Mhm.
really, really accurate because she does a hell of a job.
Yeah,
And it costs us about, Bob, just for your information, it costs us about $60 a tour
yeah, that's fine.
for her to do it. So
yeah.
the other thing is, when I was talking to that gal on Anna,
Yeah.
So she got she paid $600 for one lot. Well, we can't do that, because what that does,
No, but she had to pay the $600 because she was over that or she got fined. So it's either pay that $600 or you get fined 1,000. She's not allowed to have that one.
but every lot should only get charged one payment
Except
for
the,
300, except for the 17 in the land use bylaw.
yeah, which I think is 15 now.
And if they overstay their visit, meaning they go over 30 days multiple times, and we bill them another 600, or we fine them 1,000. And
Oh.
so it's up to council to decide whether we enforce the fines, because that is significant, right? So we give people a chance to become aware of the behavior that is expected under the land use bylaw that you guys had planned, without penalizing them with a heavy penalty for, like, we send warning letters, if we know. But when we send the invoices, the last 2 years, you've sent the invoices in September for everyone who has RVs on their properties that don't have a residence.
Right, I
But if
understand.
if we're charging them the 300, we're violating our own bylaw.
If we're
So
charging.
what we
one
should be
lot
doing
for
is that we should be
$600, that can't
sending them a letter as a fine. Send them a letter that if
Because
they don't,
otherwise we're giving them, otherwise we're giving them the fine.
yeah, well, we can send them a
can't-
letter that they will be fined. We could give them a notice, and then if they don't deal with it within a week or two, then
Yeah, and Bob, that's correct, because there's no way that we can have one lot pay $600. The maximum they can pay per year, except for the ones in land use bylaw, is one payment of 300 for the whole year. So that Anna should get $300 back, or else credit for
Well,
this year.
We gave her, we didn't charge her the fine, which was $1,000.
But she shouldn't have paid for 2 RVs on there.
Okay, but that was what was being done by Melissa, and that was what was continued.
yeah,
So,
I think we
Well,
discussed that.
it
And there
can,
was how many, maybe 8, I think, in total that overstayed their multiple days, and so they were charged.
yeah, I think we have to,
at the end of the
you know, if
season.
it was done in the past, we have to rejig, follow the.
Well, that's about the clarity in the bylaw, like, cause
Yeah.
that's,
well, the bylaw is really clear on that.
yeah,
The
So
only
we have to
people
follow
that-
the bylaw.
Yeah.
So,
if we don't
so my
follow-
thought is that if somebody has one on there and they stay over 30 days,
so do you want us to bring the ones that are gonna get fines? Do you want us to bring those fines to approve them, make sure we're doing it under the bylaw?
well, no, I think what we
Would you
do
like
is
to do
we
that?
send them a letter, and if they say, listen, you're violating the bylaw, but we're gonna
Well,
give you a little bit of a break, gonna give you 2 weeks to straighten this out. And if we don't, then we hit them with the fine.
Okay, so deal with it like we do the tax collection process. We send them a couple warning letters. If they don't correct the behavior under the bylaw, then we send them $1,000 fine.
Well, I think that's how the bylaw reads, doesn't it, Lauren?
I wouldn't give a couple weeks notice though. Short notice, to get that a second trailer off then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, whatever you think is proper, maybe.
Because we get
should-
a weekly
We
report.
should to be honest with you, I'm really thinking the people that paid more than the 300 last year should get a refund. Because they're gonna assume that they can just pay the $300 and have 2 units on them.
Well, they know they can't, because we send them a letter
Yeah,
too.
no,
We
we
send
said
them
you're
letters.
out of you're out of compliance.
Yeah.
Well,
So if we're enforcing basically, and then you gotta be careful, because it's council that's telling people that they can, one person goes off because they didn't pay for the 2 RVs and they were bylawed in with the bylaw. If they miss 1 year, they can't go back on the next year.
no, that's true. That's
Okay,
the title
so
changes.
we have certain counselors that are telling people that they can get added to the bylaw, and that
No,
can't
you
happen.
can't.
I know,
Yeah.
so we gotta make sure that that's clear, and we have counselors when people buy property in town, if they buy two properties side by side, the counselor tells them, well, you're bylawed in on this lot you bought. But if they bought that lot and they weren't in the bylaw, they don't get bylawed in on that lot.
No.
No,
And
well,
then
I cer-
there's also the other thing is that they buy two lots side by side and one's a bylaw lot and one's not a bylaw lot, meaning 2 and 1, that the counselor's given them, oh yeah, it's okay, just, you know, as long as you move it, but they kept it on for the whole summer, so they actually ended up with 4 trailers. So we gotta be careful that it's not administration that's giving these instructions to people in the community. We're trying to follow exactly what the bylaw is and what your reports are. So if we gotta make sure that council's all on board and saying the same thing to people.
I agree with you, and I mean, I guess I go by the bylaw.
You bet, because if we don't, we're in trouble.
I think we have to, yeah, and we just make the bylaw clear and like I say, I don't want to be fining people big. I'd like to be fair with people and give them a chance. But if they clearly keep snubbing their nose at us, then we have to give out a fine. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is.
Yeah.
The other thing, Bob, is some of the lots that have been charged more than one that weren't supposed to be, if they're not in the land use bylaw, then it's a possibility that we could be liable.
I agree. I think we have to
How would we?
have to retroactively get in
For not
compliance.
enforcing the land use bylaw or for charging?
For charging. Like, I don't want to have someone that paid their, let's say they paid, like Anna paid that $600, she should get 300 back.
Yeah, that's, if you guys pass a motion, no problem, like and if that's the stance of council, that's what we'll do. We'll send the invoices out for everybody who's supposed to get the invoice at the amount they're supposed to get it. So one per lot, except for the 16 who have 2 per lot. I think we're down to 14, 15.
14.
So we'll send those invoices out in the spring, so people are aware. And then everybody else who had registered previously or had items, we'll either give them a refund or credit them for this year.
Yeah.
And then if they do put more on through the reporting system, then we'll send them warnings and they have to move it every 30 days for 10 days.
I agree. Yeah, I think I agree with you, Lauren.
Do you want me to make the motion?
We'll do that after, as soon as this last
Okay.
report. So
This is just for interest's sake,
Yeah.
for the people that are, how many do we have on this for interest?
I can't tell when we're sharing something.
I guess it doesn't matter.
no, it doesn't have a tally, a total, but
I think just the 2 of them.
Okay. So this is just for interest, because I got a hold of, well, I went to the website Municipal Affairs and got the profile. And then also I phoned our assessor just to make sure I was right on. And so this is pretty close. So if you look at our lots as of January 2023, and you add in, so this would include Maynard's future lots, which would be 55. And right now we have about 405. And then guest houses and bunkies, the ones that went through Leanne and the development officer for development permits is 11. And then there's Walter and Carl Cornelson's concept from years ago. But at that time, the land use bylaw allowed bigger lots. So I kind of averaged what they would have over there is 20. If down the road they want to develop. And so that gives us 491 plus 2 RVs on the lot is, you said 15 now?
About that.
So,
Leanne has the for sure numbers.
okay, so that brings us to 506.
yeah,
So that also impacts, I know that there has been some discussion about making lots on MR. And I don't see that that is plausible. Unless we have a definite, a real good, definite reason to have them. Like paying for infrastructure, if we ever got into a water system or a sewer system, then that would take the burden off of the ratepayers. We could sell some lots on MR with the ratepayers' approval. But just to go around the village and think that we can poke a lot there and poke a lot there, I don't agree with that at all. And then the other fact about that is you're taking MR away that would maybe disturb some people. And it's not because there's MR beside me, because I could care less. But if we did get into the situation where we needed some definite funding for water and sewer, then I've done a survey on the lake shore, and we can probably get about 10 lakefront properties, 50 footers there. Like we'd have to get permission from the public, and we probably have to go maybe through the IDP if it went over this 505. But then what that would, if it's done in an organized way, then it would be a real good thing for the people here to get infrastructure in that could possibly be paid for that way. If the public wants it. And what do you have to have, 60% to sell MR to make profit of people that are in favor? I think it's 66, like 2/3 or something.
Yeah, well, that would be a vote if you put a bylaw in, like,
To
you'd
do
have to
it.
have a vote of the community to,
Yeah, so
for
that's,
infrastructure, but if majority of the people want it, then the bylaws would be controlled. The people would have to abandon their wells. So that's the whole thing about putting infrastructure in, right? You can't,
right,
you can continue with the well for like, because then you have to, you'll have more sewer hauling and other things. If you have potable water running to the house, you can't run two systems in the house. You can run a
You
well
can
for
run
a garden and
well,
stuff.
for outside, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I mean, yeah,
I mean,
it's good to look at that, but the big thing for you guys is getting matching dollars for your grants right now. Because you have to spend these grants. And if you don't match with dollars or match with other grants, then you can't finish your projects. Like you can't finish the hall, you can't finish anything
but
else.
I'm sure we're capable of matching the grants without selling property.
Well, it depends, like you do have some MRs that are really small, that were actually just given as part of that small subdivision. Because they had to, as part of the subdivision, set aside some MR. And they're just a lot size, they're not big, right? You have big MRs that have to go through the whole subdivision process and the whole community consult process, but any subdivision has to go through that process anyways. It has to be made available to the public, there has to be, the neighbors have to give comment and stuff like that. But you do have some lots on, what is it called, Amy? There's 2 lots in the Amy area that could be turned into, from MR. You have one on, Irma Way, that little jut up above.
Yeah. I know.
That could be converted because it's not a water issue, it's basically, it was just given as part of the subdivision. So
Bob?
there's other means too.
Do you think I'm talking through the top of my head here?
Well, no, I agree with you, Lauren. I think we got to do the numbers here. Like if people have subdivisions already planned and stuff like that, we can't, I don't think it's right for us to be stepping on their toes. Like, you know, if somebody's already had a, you know, like Craig's got his subdivisions and stuff set up. I mean, he's got that money sitting there. If we all of a sudden go over the number or whatever, and he can't do his subdivision, then his
And
land is, he owns
and it
land
would
that's
be the
kind of
same,
wasted for him. and
Same as
stuff,
for
right?
Nelson's as well.
Yeah, and so I think
gotta-
I think this is not a quick decision thing. This is something that,
No, this is a long-term planning decision,
Yeah.
and we're just in financial statements.
yeah, and so I
Well, I'm just bringing it up because I want the public to know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's no
I
problem.
just think that I
I mean, it
just,
all has to go through public consultation process, so it's a much longer process than, you know.
and I guess that when I hear the term that we have to spend the grant money, we don't have to spend the grant money. It would be nice to spend the grant money, but if the grant money is going to create another problem for us by, you know, if we lose the grant money, okay, I don't really want to, but it can be a bit of a c'est la vie thing, right? Like, I mean, such is life that we, you know, there's not a gun to our head to spend the grant money. If the grant money is something that we can use and make something good for the community, and it's worthwhile for us to match the dollars, great. But just to use the grant money for the sake of using grant money, you know, it's not always necessary.
Well, that's the essence of municipal government. Is that you get money from the province, if you don't spend it, and then you lose it, and you might not get the future money, because like, we haven't spent our 2007 to 2018, and we're gonna get it clawed back by December.
Yeah,
So if we don't spend it, I have to spend it. Like, if you don't spend it on a haul, I have to go buy equipment. Because I have to spend that money, because then the 2018 to 2023 grant money's in jeopardy. Because they realize you guys are just letting their money go and not actually using it for municipal purposes. So if you don't spend it on a targeted project, I, as administrator, have to convince you guys to buy equipment. Because I would rather see it go into infrastructure than equipment, but we have to spend the grant money, that otherwise they'll stop sending it.
Yeah, it's frowned on for communities to get in that position.
And usually they don't let you go longer than 2 years, and we've
Oh.
gone like 9 years without
Okay.
spending it. So, you know, and the way the grant systems work is that the grant systems are stackable. So you can get grants from different programs, stack them all together to do a project. So, like the federal grants and provincial grants all work together to do that. And as you can see, like from our financial statement, we've got a number of unspent grant funds, even dating back to grant funds that were pre-2015 that are still on our books that we haven't spent. So we're trying to Lori and I are trying to get them off our books.
Okay.
Because Municipal Affairs looks at White Sands and says, hey, these guys don't need our grant money anymore because they seem to be not using it. So maybe we just won't send them grant money anymore.
Okay.
So that's kind of, or we'll just take it all back.
Okay.
And that, the taxpayers, if I was a taxpayer, I'd be upset with that, because that's money that's given to you. It's paid for by the taxes. Because it's provincial tax you pay on your paycheck, and it's reallocated back to the municipalities based on a per capita or on whatever the funding model is.
Mhm.
So it's money that everybody pays for anyways.
And
Okay.
you know, we need to, and I've said it before, one of the problems was that the government paid for the whole stinking water fill station, and we were only supposed to get 150,000 for that, and we got 462,
Yeah,
and they didn't take it back. They just left it the way it is. So that's part of the problem as well, because we were kind of saving up
yeah.
because we knew it was coming.
Mhm.
You know, it's kind of a, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough of that.
Okay, well,
So,
I'm learning a lot of things here, so.
yeah. So I need a motion to approve the finance reports as presented.
I'll move that.
And then we need a motion to give direction on the RV refunds, if you guys want to do that, or give credit instead of, if some people were billed in the fall and paid the 600, then give them credit for this year, but send a notification that they can't put 2 on.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would make that motion that we follow the land use bylaw and retroactively correct any overpayments in the past from the RV usage.
Yeah,
anything over $300 per lot, except for the land use bylaw.
Except for the 16 or whatever that are
mhm.
grandfathered.
So what direction, do you want refunds or do you want credit?
I think credit, but how many do we have?
I don't
Not
know,
very
we'll
many.
have to look, there wasn't a ton, but there was
there's
a
like
few,
A couple.
maybe 8.
Didn't you?
I don't think it's that many.
Well, I
it's
think
eight.
there was the one firefighter that I recall, there
Yeah.
was Anna, and
And then,
there was a few others, but I mean,
there wasn't
not a lot.
I didn't think there was 8.
It's gonna be like, I don't know, maybe $1,500 max,
That's fine.
so.
Yeah, it's just if we get on the straight and narrow on this thing, because I know eventually it'll bite us in the ass.
In our
Yeah,
newsletter, before the season kicks off, we should do a reminder for RV lot and
Yeah.
RV owners, so.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need to just clarify the bylaw.
Okay. And the other thing is, sort of related to this is the boat launch dock mooring thing, because we had our rates, and we didn't actually go through our rate structure. If you guys want next meeting, we can review all the rates for the community, because we should probably bring our rates closer to what Roshan is now that we've gone through the provincial registry. So if you guys want to consider reducing the rate from $75 a season to 50, then in the rates, so that we can, you know, we'll still have admin fees and stuff, but then we'll give everybody tags, because we don't have to register with the province every time. They're just registering with the community.
Right,
Yeah,
so
I think we did the heavy,
So
I think you guys did the heavy lifting last year with the,
25, but I think they're gonna raise it.
they're looking, where they were looking at, you know, raising it.
We should try and be the same as them.
Or
I agree.
Yeah, so I can bring that to the next meeting, but we shouldn't go over all of our rates, because we have people asking for municipal services, like people who are away out of the country that are asking for us to plow their driveway. But I have to set a rate per hour if somebody wants their windrow plowed plus the driveway. Because if we're gonna do that for people, if Tim's gonna clear windrows, it's generally not a cost, because we just go through and clear the windrow in front of their property, because they're not there for the winter. And we do that for no cost. But if someone asks us to do a full driveway or other municipal services, then we should have a municipal fee structure based on an hourly rate for equipment and man, if people want extra services from us that they
Yeah.
can't get from a private contractor.
In the past, we haven't allowed village equipment on private property for snow removal.
Well, we have cleared windrows up to the property line,
Yeah.
which is across the ditch into the culvert.
We make it windrow. It makes sense that we should take it off.
Well, normally we don't do that. We don't have a policy for that, but I agree. If a senior calls us and say, well, I'm coming at Christmas time and I need this windrow and I need it plowed to my property line, I'll get someone else to do the rest. Or someone says, oh, the gas truck is coming or the propane truck is coming. We don't know who to call to clear our driveway to let the propane truck in. So they call us, and right now we don't have a policy for that.
Yeah.
So it's on an ad hoc basis. So
Well,
we have to address that.
I'm 68, you know. Is that a senior?
Anybody who's technically over 65 is a senior. Anyway, so that we'll bring that policy with all the fee structures, and we'll try to adjust the boat launch stuff next time. So what
Okay.
was the other item that you guys wanted to make a motion on? GICs.
We'd like to make a motion that we,
So how much would you like to put in locked in and redeemable?
250? I don't know.
Because we can probably easily manage by putting 600,000 in, like 300, or 250 and 400 in redeemable, because redeemable can be taken out after every 30-day increment. Different, you can take it out in small portions. So as we need it for cash flow, but we should maximize the amount we lock in. So like 300 lock in.
And even Yeah, well, you would know what to do with it, but the amount is, even if it's 600. But that's also cash that can go to fixed grants too,
Yes, exactly.
right? Like we got the cash for
Well,
the,
that's why you wanted to make money on it while it's sitting there.
yeah, but also can be used instead of selling properties.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I think we put 300 and
Well, you
300
can
in.
use that, but you wanna extend it, so as the project is happening, right, you put it in GICs and you take out say $50,000, because the payment is coming in for a contractor to do the project, whatever project you guys pick,
Yeah.
and then you take another 50,000 the next month, another 50, well, then at least you're getting GICs on the maximum amount throughout the process,
Mhm.
you're getting your monthly calculation and you're getting your cash.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I'm,
So I'll
Robert?
prepare it. If you guys want to pass the motion, I'll prepare it and you guys can head into town to sign the documentation.
Now, I'm not on the bank account, so
Minimum
this,
of 2 signatures.
Oh, yeah, we have to get Bob to sign. He's not on the big accounts yet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you haven't been here a lot.
no,
Yeah, we
I
need to
can,
get you into the system. And get you could probably sign it at any TD branch though. If the paperwork sent to the
Yeah.
branch.
you know what,
We can
I'll,
send you the paperwork and you can work with the.
I have a,
Is that?
I have a personal banker that I could deal with here through TD. I'm with TD, so I have a personal banker that I can call him and see if I can do the paperwork through him.
Cause I can go in and sign with you. If we go in together, we can sign the GICs soon. So
Yeah.
at least we have some registered in there and we're making money.
Remember,
Okay.
So I would make a motion that we put $600,000 into GICs, 300 of it being into a fixed term and 300 being into a redeemable.
Redeemable, yeah. Okay,
and maybe the 300, would you have to buy, or the 300,000 redeemable, would it have to be separated into?
no, if it's
100,000?
redeemable, we can take out
Just a
any
portion.
amount throughout the period as long as it's a 30-day increment.
Okay,
So if we get it in today, it'll be it's the 18th today. If we get it in tomorrow or by Friday, then on the 20th of each month, it would renew. And then we can take out a portion of the redeemable.
And I think the fixed one, I think a year is enough because I just think that
No.
we can't lock our money in for 5 years. You
No,
know.
it has to be a 1-year fix. That's basically the best we'll get. But I think at this time, we might get a 5.25 if they're gonna match HP. So,
That's great.
well,
So I would make that motion.
okay.
You want to vote on that?
yeah, I'm in
Okay.
favor.
I'm in favor.
Okay. So the next one you'd asked me to do, Bob, was the, council reports, if you guys want to do that first, please.
Do you have any council report, Bob?
No, I just a couple of things. One is, I did, as I said, I did take this ICS 100 course online. So I'm qualified or past that or whatever. The other thing, Erin might not know, she wasn't at the Hall Society meeting, that I will now be talking with one of the members of the Hall Society, likely Tamara, a few days before any of our meetings, just to make sure that we bring any of their concerns forward to our council meetings.
Okay,
And then I'll go to the live meetings, for the
Okay.
public of the Hall Society.
Well,
Myself, Red, or both of us.
mhm.
And I think we had a very productive meeting with the Hall Society. I think it was very useful and very productive.
Oh, and there was one thing here, Dean, that when I was at the, first off, Bob, did you register for the 200?
No, I haven't yet. No.
Okay, because there's one down in your area.
Okay.
I think it's after you get back.
Okay, I'll look at that this afternoon.
So you got that link from, the Clint sent me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can figure that out, yeah.
Okay. And when I was at the ICS training, Danny was at the same one,
Yeah,
and he said that just in passing there, that there was a requisition that that Goshen Sands gets from the rec board. Is that right? You know?
a requisition, well, there's the annual, there's the one you have to get to sign up,
Right.
and then they get the grant money for every year. But as far as an annual requisition, haven't seen that, and I'm not aware of that.
Oh, I saw one, yeah. It's not rec, we had
For the rec board,
yeah,
and it's per capita,
probably,
okay. So,
Can you send me a note, Aaron?
okay.
Just so we know, because I thought the rain said there was no requisition.
have to look again. I thought there was. That's what Goshen says she's got.
We'll look into that.
Robert, anything else you got?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I got a few things. Just to put it on the, it's been on the back burner for a while, but Front Street erosion problems from where the pathway is down at the end of Front Street, covering about,
Where's that? Like what sort of pathway you said?
yeah, there's a path down to the lake that where you turn around at the end
Right.
of Front Street. From that first lot down there coming this way, so 9 lots. When the lake's high, gets erosion.
Okay.
And we looked in, there was some questions from some of the ratepayers down there, because they were getting kind of scared. It's going up to trees this big in some areas. And within 20 feet or 25 feet of the property, like it's chewed the MR. And so there was when the lake was high, there was quite a concern, but now the lake's down, they're not saying very much, but you know damn well that lake is gonna possibly come up again. So we gotta kind of keep in the back of our mind.
So is there something we can do other
There's-
than TFA and do stabilization? Can we do
It has to-
shrubs or trees or
No,
something?
it would-
Nothing?
It would take, it has to be armored hard. It can't
Okay.
be growth. When the ice comes off, we'll go down there and I have pictures of it, but the
Right,
picture
because it
doesn't.
does push right up with the wind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's taken, like it's probably that high a cliff in some places.
So could we do like a form of a bollard or
Well, I got a
a
hold of,
fixed bollard with a
there is a system that
something?
is done, but it's extremely expensive. When
Yeah.
I checked into it last, it was what the hell's the name of that company? It's a company out of part-time county,
Okay,
and they did some at Waban and it
Yeah.
was $200 a lineal foot.
no, well, there's all, yeah.
But there's
Pigeon
probably-
Lake has had that problem too, because they get the winds and it just, the ice, melting ice just creeps right into the houses almost.
Yeah, so this is just something
Okay,
just as a reminder.
Okay.
Um,
we'll put it on the future
okay,
agendas for discussion.
so I know that there was some folks, or Ed was asking about wood down at the Jack's Pond. Well, 2 years ago, we took at least 7 to 10 cords of wood down there. And it's gone.
Tim said there's still huge piles of wood that has never been cut that's
Did they
sitting
move
there.
it?
He said there's a huge row of uncut, like it's blocks of wood that have never been broken up or cut.
Okay.
So, and then any wood that we gather, we're supposed to take
Take
down there
down,
and
right.
buck it up and let people split it, whatever.
Okay.
But, so, I don't know, like, we'll have to,
I don't know what you mean.
Okay,
It's just that it looks like.
so we should address like at some point in the future, we should address the Jack's Pond issues with like water, because there should be some connection of our, and this is our water study, right? There should be connection of the water, ponds, so that Jack's Pond is down the hill from all the other ponds, and eventually the water gets there, whether we have to do some directional drilling, culverts, or pumping, or whether we have to just, work with environment to create a wet well in the area, and then keep the water in Jack's Pond by sinking their wet well below the, ground, into the groundwater, so that we can continue keeping Jack's Pond viable.
Yeah, and then there's
That's-
also a possibility of maybe taking it from the new catch basin in
Exactly,
phase 3, right?
yes, so that's what we have to
Running it down
discuss.
there in the fall if it's dry.
So that's, because we were getting some concern, Tim was getting concerns from people who were putting the ice rink and together, that there wasn't going to be enough water this year.
Yeah.
So, and that, it is our responsibility to make sure drainage goes to the certified environmental wetlands. So we're supposed to be moving water to those locations.
Right,
So so we have to put that in future.
okay. So the AED cabinet is in the back
Okay.
through the door.
There, okay.
And it has its dedicated line for the heater. I didn't know that the AED, the one that we got, doesn't charge up. You have to replace these batteries, and they're good for 4 years. Yours at Roshan,
Yeah, I don't know what ours does.
I don't know. But anyway, the line has to be dedicated to go to one of them
Okay, yeah.
boxes. So it's in.
We have to put a maintenance program in place.
Yeah, and the heater is, that I bought, the little heating pad. I got it and it had an hour and a half time on it, and then it quit. Just for a safety thing.
Mhm.
Well, we have to have it 100% of the time in the winter, so I ordered some pads that they use for seedlings and brewing, so that it should work. And I got a thermometer in there too. So as soon as everything's organized, we'll have to get
Linda to
Linda.
register it.
Yeah,
and all
I
that.
think Bryce will be here today to look at that and the other light stuff.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
he was at Roshan Sands Hall this morning doing their AED device,
Okay.
putting a dedicated line in and stuff.
Okay. And Bob, I had someone, I don't know who I was talking to, but anyway, for the water bill for doing the Jack's Pond. What I thought was maybe what we should do is let the people that look after Jack's Pond have their own PIN system for the water usage. And we should have our own PIN system, which we do, but they used ours to make the skating rink.
Mhm.
But I think it should be separated, and then, like, we can still pay the bill, but we should kind of know how much is gone.
Well, we can't let our code be,
And that's the other thing, we can't
To-
have the
we
village.
can't let everybody and their dog have our code, right?
Yeah. Well, that's right, and the thing is, Jerry, do you have any idea how many votes you took? No.
As a statement. And all those, the false tank. And during the separate, I will do anything with that.
Yeah.
I don't know how long much they used.
I mean, it's not a
But
big.
now since you're based in there, I just use it well.
Oh, okay,
So ever since, well, December. I've used it.
okay.
And this
So,
year was part of the report of the analyze.
right,
So we tried a new system. make it. And we got it figured out and won't be bad
Yeah,
years to follow.
okay. So do you want me to do that, Dean? Set up 2 numbers?
Up to you, yeah.
Like, I think the
I
Hall,
agree with that.
the Hall Society can just keep the village number and I'll just set up a new one for us.
Okay,
It should be that way anyways, that tax bond is separate from.
Yeah, I think so.
Then you have some kind of control over it. You know how much is going that way.
Yeah, just so we know.
I mean, 99.9% of people are honest and stuff, but we do have to have some control just to be sure.
Yeah, okay. And you know, it is unfortunate putting drinking water on there, but that's, we've got no choice. What's that? Okay. So the Buffalo Lake Management Team has a meeting here. And I think it's on the 30th, but I'll make sure that the RCMP count and the I'll get a hold, what I'll probably do is have the chairman fan out that we're gonna have the fire chief here as well.
yeah, the regional fire chief and the RCMP.
RCMP. Do you think I should do Fish and Wildlife too? Or what
Well,
do you
Fish and
think?
Wildlife comes, don't they? Or is it
No,
just,
not
yeah,
all.
you might as well invite them because they're all gonna be asking for project, so.
Okay.
And I'll just, yeah, go ahead, I'll just put it on mute. Go ahead.
So, yeah, the road plan, we talked about that. And the rec board requisition. And I think that's all I got. Maybe we can lower that and lower whatever, so it'll go in there, or does it matter to you?
No, it doesn't matter, but I can talk to them and see if we can lower it so we can put it in there during functions. Otherwise, they can just keep it in the corner.
Mhm.
Cause I mean, if someone's gonna steal it, they're gonna come in and steal the whole thing,
Yeah,
right?
I was
So,
just worried about it being out in the open when there's a function on that.
yeah, we kind of tuck it away in the corner, but yeah, cause when they added the new camera system and this, they basically had to put that. They didn't wanna attach it to the TV, so
Right.
they put that rack, which made it just not clear the doorway. So
It
we
just
can,
has to come
we
down
can
6
figure out what we
inches.
need to do to raise or lower the system,
Okay,
if that's what you guys wanna do.
okay, that's all I got. And I had some items also I forgot, and I'll just talk to Tim about it. It's
Sure.
just small items that need to be looked at.
Yeah,
You-
just
like-
send me a quick email and Tim and I can put them on priorities.
Okay,
Yeah, so we can
yeah, I did
prioritize them.
before, some of them, but I'll do it again.
Yeah, cause they've pretty much, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but they did cut a lot of dead trees down in the fall and through the winter and they're especially on the main roads, but all the buffers between properties, they would like to go in and clean out deadfall for the fire and then communicate with the neighbors to make sure that they're also removing all the deadfall and stuff in the adjacent properties to ours. Because we wanna limit the fire spread and we wanna, you know, encourage new growth, so in the spring, there's less of a chance. And we also wanna talk to the landowners about going in and, you know, doing some weed whipping and, because we're gonna try to maintain the buffers as much as we can to prevent spread of fire if something does happen. And then getting rid of the deadfall just gives new growth opportunity too, right? So they've been doing that quite a bit. So,
Okay, so did you have a report?
well, I mean, we just had our council meeting right before Christmas and then I've just been working on council meetings and getting things
Yeah.
prepped. the biggest thing is the financials. We're in good shape. Lori's working on the year-end stuff right now, so the next meeting we should be 99.9% of the way there on all our financials for 2022. And then we can start discussing our strategic plan that we worked on as a council. We can get that into phase one. Then we can move that into the budget. So that's what I'm prepping. And then as far as taxes go, we're in good shape as far as collections. So there's a few people I'll work with you on tracking down. The biggest thing is the grants. I need to know if I'm going to go after this federal green building grant, because then we can get up to $500,000 to match our money from the feds. If we have a plan, I can submit it to them. If we don't have a plan by February 28th, that's the deadline. So we'll miss this year.
Yeah,
And so also there's the CFEP grant. If we work with the Hall Society, they can apply for a small structure grant of up to 500,000. So even if they get 100,000, that's an additional 100,000 we can stack on the money we have to spend, which is 299. So that will give us like $600,000 we can use to extend the hall or whatever you guys want to do. But we need to, I'm going to be focusing on grants the rest of this month, other than doing the Russian Sounds agenda. That's going to be my focus. And, you know.
So, Robert, we should probably make a motion that we.
Because we need a concept
we need a
design.
Concept to show the public.
Right. So, but the public concept is important, but getting the concept to get the grants out, like the public's not going to decide whether we send the grants out, but they are going to decide on the concept. So if you guys decide 60 feet that way or 60 feet this way, wherever you guys decide, but the concepts are important just for the plan, because then they can flip that design, like Railside did it for Roshan for the snack shack. So I'm familiar with their process, and they can put a concept design with 3D model and all that stuff available for the public to see. We can put a link on the website, but I need the dimensions and I need the cost estimates. So I've already contacted all the contractors in the Stettler region, and they've submitted whether they're interested in bidding on Snack Shack. But I've also told them that White Sands could also be looking at a project. So I'm going to use their cost estimates per square foot and bring those to you. So I'll know roughly what our budget is going to need to be for whatever project you decide. But then I have to put that in a rough blueprint plan with discussion about what it is and why we want it. And then I have to send that out to the 3 different levels of government agencies to get money, 3 different programs. So we need to decide, we need to commit to at least getting Railside to do a concept.
I think that should be well, first of all, for the lighting, we have to make that motion today, right?
The lighting, yes. I've got the price codes. So I'm gonna send those out as well, but that's minor compared to like getting a concept design done. And
Okay.
What is a concept design gonna cost us?
well, it's basically a 3D rendering, a sketch of the existing building plus whatever add-on you want to do to it. And then it describes the dimensions and stuff like that. And then that can be accessed by the public as a 2D PDF, or it can be accessed as a 3D where you get to fly around the whole site and stuff. Because he came out with his drone and flew this whole site and took dimensions before the snow really got bad. So he's able to take the ground elevations and the building and all that stuff and come up with a concept plan for you. So the concept plan is basically like if you're building a farm building, you want to know what it's going to look like before. And so you go to the architect, but the architect charges a lot of money. So if you go to a designer like Railside, for example, in Stettler, they'll give you your 3D model plus the 2D model. So they give you the dimensions of what it's going to look like and what it could functionally do. And then you send that to the public for approval, but you use that paperwork and associated materials and concepts to send that out as your grant application with all of the written material as well.
And about what would that cost? Like, what did the snack shack cost for the concept design?
Yeah, well, you make the decisions on what kind of things you want in your facilities or what you want, right? So like, instead of just buying a package off of like AgriPro or something like that, putting up a pole barn and building a shed next door and using it as public works, we'd have to have a little bit more of a thinking about like windows facing south, so you get solar gain, and not as many windows in the north, and those kind of things, and maybe a deck around the outside so you can let the public view. And is it used for weddings? Is it used for that kind of stuff? Whatever you want, you have to put that in your concept design before you actually get the blueprints made, because the blueprints are more expensive than a concept design.
Dean, he was just asking what the,
But we're outside of just charge.
Oh, well, 2,500 to 5,000, depending on, but
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
so like we kind of got ahead of ourselves on this.
It's
yeah,
down
that 9.6, but we can do that now if you want.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
I think probably, like I've had comments from the public. I know that there was a plan to go that way. Disadvantage is there's drain lines under there, 2 of them. And then the parking would get diminished. Mind you, you can scoop out that hill, but there's still a gas line just over here, which can be moved. And then the other intention when the hall was built, and other people have asked me, is header to the lake. And then move the gas line, and I got a quote to move the gas line, and so that is probably more than what it was last year or the year before, but it was $12,000.
Yeah, and that's pretty minor, because they would
So-
just take it from the back of the building and run it out front.
Swing it all the way around.
The only thing we have out front is we've got a few power lines and we've got a telecom line. So they would have to be careful and dig it around, but they'd have to bring it on this side of the trees in our parking lot and then run it out to wherever it connects back up.
Yeah, just up the hill, actually.
Yeah,
It
so,
used to be the original line that went over to Bar Harbor.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have to get this concept drawn out fairly quickly, right?
So could we have one for that way and one for that way?
Well, he would just do sketches at first and then
Yeah.
send me the sketches, I'd send them to you. And then from there, once you firm up what you like, then I would also get the prices from the gas company to move the lines. That would be included in my grant application. And then I'd get the Hall Society on board and get their feedback on what they would like to see. And then we'd have a meeting with council, you and me and the Hall Society. And then if they agreed, then we ship it up to the public and see what the feedback is. And then if you wanna, then I can at least have something solid to send out with my grant applications, rough financial estimates. And then from there, you can get feedback right up until the day you guys decide, but you will have to tender it in order to get
Yeah. and
something out.
Sooner than later.
Yeah,
For
like
sure.
you have to tender in February or early March in order to get the builders, but luckily a lot of the builders in the community are interested in starting by the summer or the fall. So there's a lot around that submitted their interest,
Okay,
so.
well, I'll make the motion that we go ahead with Railside.
Trailside, up to $5,000, is that, you're gonna, to a maximum?
I don't know about the maximum. What do you think, Bob? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I guess, do you think 5,000 is enough, Dean?
Well, yeah, the snack shack was smaller and it was less complicated. So it was 2,500 for the design. So it would probably be, my guesses would be between 3,500 and 5,000, but I haven't got a firm quote back yet. I was waiting for that before the council meeting, but it hasn't come, so I'll follow up on that.
so maybe.
Well, I guess the issue is if it comes in at more than 5, then we're in,
Yeah.
then we have to have another meeting, right?
Yeah, because the concept design basically goes out to the contractors if they're interested, and you can do what's called the design build. So the contractor would actually design and use his own internal resources instead of what we did last year with the architect. They would do a design build and they would submit the plan to council, and then we would pick the contractor. And we're less restricted by the tender process. It's if it's a design build versus a tender for an existing architectural plan. And so, you know, it would significantly reduce the cost of getting the project off the ground.
So would you, well, I don't, doesn't matter to me if it's $10,000, if we don't wanna, we wanna get this going as fast as we
Yeah.
can, right? So.
So
And the other
motion?
thing is, we also talked about making a village office in the design of the issue.
So I can give him the list of wish list and he can come up, he can bring his sketchbook out, we can sit at your house even, we can sit down with you or in our office or whatever, and you can put all the concepts in and he can come back with a drawing. And then from there, he can raise it up and turn it into a 3D model with his design software, CAD software, right?
Okay, well, I'll make a motion up $10,000.
Up to 10, okay.
I agree with that.
Okay, but that, if we do a design, it's just a design, it's not blueprint or
Yeah,
anything like
no,
that.
that's fair.
So
That's fine,
Okay.
it's a lot cheaper than.
he has a question.
I just think that we have to, if we want to get this thing going, we can't be,
Yeah.
we can't be, if we're, you know, messing about here.
For a hall and office and stuff. You think, well, that's the only few people think, I thought it was a good idea. Just don't worry about this place, build a new home on this hill. That overlooks the lake. You'll get weddings, you get everything. Nice deck on it, overlooks the lake.
Mhm.
This you can turn into the office. If everything's here for you.
Well, this is a huge office, it's way more than we would need, but yeah, I would be okay with that.
Yeah, and you build a whole new wall. you know,
Anybody would, yeah.
Anything of weddings. Open on the lake, you got to do.
Yeah.
Those are all your plans.
We should be open to any concept
And,
at this point.
How is that communication, like, how can we, the community, before?
We're gonna have a town hall meeting. And if,
Yeah, you're running out of time.
and the meeting can be used with the Zoom
Yeah, more people.
conference for the people that can't make
More
it,
people on Zoom.
and it would also go
Maybe we could have a
out
council
in writing.
There.
Yeah, like, so it's like, hey,
Yeah. You'd have to make,
Yeah, it could be-
make sure you did a geotack on that hill. You'd have to check that hill out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I mean,
No, but it sounds like that's.
that would be better than that.
And then put the hole in the walls and use that as a extra file. You could have log cabinets for containers.
Then you
Keeping them in there.
you put a basement in there with just all the tables, chairs, everything. I've done with it, bring it up. You need it. Those guys are lots of money, but I think the US will look at that.
Easier.
That's the-
Okay,
Is there, members can be.
Well, that's the whole purpose of doing a concept is to
Yeah.
bring it out, show council, show the public, and if people want to give feedback, that's when the feedback happens. Then we adjust the concept. And if something like that idea is brilliant, if that comes out and then it says, okay, we'll just convert this, it's already there, we'll just go that way.
Yeah.
And then it's easier. So-
You don't have, you have a square box.
Yeah, so I mean, these are all good ideas. I mean,
yeah. and
so
that-
then
that
we
hill
can
be-
use that for future. Maybe if this place gets to 700-800 lots, maybe we can use that to store a fire truck for the regional fire department or a water truck or something next door, or it can be used for exercise facility or something, like, you know, it's just part of the community. Indoor ping pong.
Okay, I think we better,
Yeah,
So,
we
yeah,
gotta,
give
we gotta
about a-
move on here.
and it'll go out chicken meat to the public. As fast as we can get it.
Okay,
Do we have,
Robert,
Sorry?
is, with that idea that came from, that Jerry's been talking about.
I couldn't hear it.
Okay, so what, he had a few people talking to him about building a brand new separate hall altogether on the hill that we stripped the trees off of, just beside here.
Okay,
And then putting, like taking the hill down and then putting a brand new facility up there and turning this into the office. This existing.
okay. So
So,
the hill over just above the tennis courts?
no,
just right
just
here.
beside us. Beside the parking lot, looking towards the lake, we mulched all them trees off of there a couple of years ago.
Right, okay.
so we also have this area here,
Yeah,
which is,
in front here too. You know, and it would be easy to divert the laneway down to the beach still.
Right, okay,
So it's just an idea that was brought up.
okay. That's,
Yep.
that's an interesting idea, yeah.
Sometimes in the long run, it is cheaper to build from scratch than renovate, for sure.
It is, yeah, you're right.
If we get into roof lines changing and stuff like that, and the electrical and the,
Can the rail side guy come out and give us some advice on that?
You can do a contract for that.
yeah.
Or a contractor?
Like, of the, whatever Warren and I and you sketch up and get him out to start, we can get him to look at multiple options, right?
Yeah,
where do you, oh, you're going away.
Yeah.
But I'll be here.
So, I mean, it's really up to you guys. He's willing to come out and meet with you guys, so,
I wish Ed was on.
or meet online on Zoom or whatever and just show you some, because he does quick sketches, right?
Mhm.
And then it usually takes him a day or so, and then you get feedback, and then, you know, if you guys want multiple options, then that's fantastic. But
can you
I
do
need
quick
something
sketches on a
solid.
couple of,
then the grant's out by
Um,
mid-February.
But what we could do is have him do both designs.
Yeah.
I mean,
excuse me just for a sec, I just gotta run to the washroom, I'll be right back in a sec here.
you gotta hold your hand up.
Too much coffee.
So, yeah, there's great feedback, great concept. 'Cause I want to go after the grant money because there's 500,000 sitting in 2 pools plus your money. So, you know, $1 million could build you guys a decent facility, and it would be green.
Then you can rent it out.
When the town hall meeting prior to get, more ideas, because that's one great idea. There's many people with other ideas before money's spent on concept designs.
Well, that's not how it works for grants though, because
I
we're.
realize there's a time when there's a problem.
Yeah. Because otherwise, if we hold out to the community and get all the great ideas back, then we're into 2024.
Yeah, I realize that. It's a time when
You know,
Like, you can feed back into it. Because there's some vision.
and we could post it and we can post it with the feedback on our Facebook so people can give us feedback, or, you know, we can have another special meeting.
Just say these are 2 concepts which do you prefer? You give them 100 ideas.
Exactly.
They will be here.
And we have engineers in the community too, that can give great feedback. We have landscape architects, we've got people that specialize in sound systems, we've got all kinds of resources in the community that live and reside here, part-time or full-time, that could tap into as information, the feedback into the project.
Yeah, Cheatham's are both architects.
You know, that the idea of a separate building would be less disruptive, wouldn't it?
Well, that's what all society and council meeting together was, that what's gonna happen. Like, they could add on to here and then just leave the inside wall until like,
Yeah.
this could still be used, especially if you put that door into the shop. So
Yeah.
that's possible. But this idea of a separate building, if the land is stable enough over there, that's, to me, it sounds pretty reasonable.
Yeah. Can we have a couple of quick sketches made up by this guy? The Railside guy?
Yeah, I think that would be the way to go. I should probably phone Ed and just confer with him as well. And if something else comes out of the public consultation, well, that's fine too. I mean, all this planning is a procedure that you have to do with public input, but we are ever begun because of time.
Oh.
So,
We've got time constraints here, right?
yeah, so I think we should meet with Railside and see what he says. Maybe I'll give Cheatham's a call, ask them.
It's just computer rendering time for him, so it's an hourly rate to give us two ideas, and then we can ship it out to the community and ask for feedback. In the meantime, I've got two things I can apply for grants for. The feds don't care whether we add on or build. They just need to know we've got something and here's the concept and here's the cost. And so if they're gonna give us 25% of our project cost because it's a green building and leads and all that stuff, then yes, of course, we're gonna get maximum we can, right?
And with a new building as opposed to adding on, that's much easier.
Yep.
But you don't have to piss around with making bathrooms bigger or heat system different and tying it all together.
You can
right?
have in for heating, there's lots of other things you can do, boiler system instead of that. All kinds of things, you know,
Yeah.
so
Okay, so why don't, for now, we meet with
Railside.
Railside now?
Yeah, I'll try to get a meeting either by the end of this week or early next week, and we can have a concept meeting we can have it on Zoom so people can attend via Zoom if they
Oh,
want.
yeah, like this will handle.
We can have this here and have a public opening so that people can talk.
Yeah.
We can just let people know via the newsletter.
Yeah, and I'll do that right away, tell them it's coming.
Okay.
An overhang that we should have over there too, so picnic table. that's
The
good.
patio, yeah.
Yeah, they
The
use that.
patio.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a
absolutely.
good idea.
Yeah, great ideas.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea.
Okay, next is,
You have to accept the CEO and council reports.
I'll make that motion.
Lauren,
I'll make the motion
that was
to,
a divergent
Okay,
tangent.
okay. Now you can go back to 8.2.
8.9.1.
9.1, yeah,
Oh, we did, we're,
yeah. we
we're
did.
good, we're good tonight?
Yeah.
So, Dean
can
did
can we table 9.1 till Ed's back?
he, actually, maybe that's a good, I don't know.
that?
Table 9.1 until Ed's back, because he brought it up.
Well, I can just present it and we can bring it up again when Ed's back. I'll just present the findings for you, Bob. So you guys had asked me to do a study on all the other summer villages and find out who, so I made a call out to a number of summer villages to try to, an email, to try to get a response back, and I was getting very little feedback because they were not getting it back to me. So I just grabbed the financials off the municipal affairs website and I pulled out their financial statements. So it's basically a list of every counselor and what the mayors get paid and what's the difference between the mayors and the counselors. and the average per community and is on the last page, which tells you we're right in the ballpark in the average for both the mayor and the councillors. So that's basically what the report shows, and it's all 50 communities. I think we have 50 summer villages. So it's basically pulled out of their financials. Some have benefits, like they've got life insurance for councillors for doing work on the road when their councillors are going to meetings. But other than that, 90% or 80% don't have benefits. So other than that, you've got that in your package, and you guys can decide what to do when Ed gets back, if you want to discuss it at the next meeting.
And I guess the other part of that is, Bob, that some villages, to be honest with you, might have a population of 20 people.
Yeah,
And, and then there's other ones that are 700 or 800 lots.
Yeah. And
But-
some have converted into towns and villages.
Yeah,
Yeah, so they've
Like-
switched.
Burnt Stick Lake and that other one, Ghost Lake down in Calgary.
Yeah, Chestermere Lake and Ghost, yeah, a few
There's
others.
hardly any population in some of them,
Yeah.
summer villages, yeah.
And if you guys keep on your growth rate and you expand that new subdivision plus, if you guys decide in 20 years you want to expand, you could become a full village instead of just a summer village. Because once you hit the population of
300.
300, or I think it's a little higher now, but yeah, once you hit the population levels, then you can go for the extra grant levels. So,
Or join with Roshan Sands. We'd be there.
well, you'd have to join with everybody because it's not gonna happen. It'd have to be this entity of South Shore. That'd be the new community. So.
But you can do it according to the act, you can do it. You don't have to join.
Oh, I know, we
Just have to
can,
be-
well, technically, we're joined by the lake.
That's what.
So we can, if you guys wanted to merge with them. That would simplify council meetings
Yeah, yeah.
and agenda preparations.
Yeah, we do that one.
Okay, so 9.2 municipal taxes.
Okay, this is the rebate that Bob had asked me to do a complete calculation on the cost of what all the Horseshoe Lane and Ranch Road Phase 2 properties have for assessment value and municipal tax. And then also the cost of the cost of municipal, how much is actual municipal, how much is school division, and how much is in the seniors foundation. And so it gives an estimated cost for all those properties. And then the other part was how much would it cost to do snow removal, how much would it cost for grading and dust control, and how much would it cost for grass and weed whipping, and then compare that against how much we collect, because you guys had talked about, because we're not offering them any services, that you guys had discussed the possibility of giving them a rebate on the municipal portion of their taxes. So as you can see, the taxes from the first sheet, the taxes are, if it's $1,000 minimum, then the municipal tax is actually only $270, but the minimum tax would be $479. The rest of it is school. So we only have so many houses in that subdivision, so most of it is vacant land at this point. In that phase 2. So the municipal portion of the total taxes, even with the min tax, is roughly 50% of the total tax, and then the school portion. So it's up to you guys what you guys want to do. Like this is the information at hand. So if you guys want to consider offering them a rebate on their taxes for 2023 and going forward until we actually get possession of that subdivision at the end of this year. Keep in mind that there's technically a warranty period of 2 years from the time we give CCC. until, the approval, but council can, you know, offer compensation for lack of services, or when they get approved, we can actually start offering them basic services, which would be dust control, gravel, snow removal. We don't, and then we probably do weed whipping, and if the elevations are appropriate, we'd have to do. We can use, if you look at the other half of that phase one, we can actually go in the ditches and cut with a mower. We don't have to weed whip because the elevations are proper. So this was, do you have all the facts you need now, Bob?
Yes. Yeah,
That's the analysis you asked for, so.
And the basic understanding of the whole thing is because of the fact that the subdivision has not been accepted yet. So we're not allowed to do snow removal or any work over there as the village. It's up to the developer to do all that, which they are doing. Like this, he's hired a snow.
are they doing it?
Yeah, it's good. They've hired Quinn Hayden to do the snow removal over there.
Okay,
So it's not as though there's no one doing it. And Maynards are paying for it. I do have I guess the biggest thing, Bob, is that if we do another subdivision and it's not accepted, then people can have the lot, but there shouldn't be any occupied property on a subdivision that has not been accepted. And that's the biggest trouble we ran into here.
mhm.
And that also makes the developer move along faster, right?
6 years isn't fast.
No, this is terrible.
Should have been closed in like 18 to 24 months.
Well, the phase one was,
Yeah, and you don't have services, like there's not like there's sewer and water and all that other services in there. It's basic land and roads and culverts.
yeah.
So you guys, if you have, you know, if you want to wait for Ed to make the decision, or if you want to, you know, it's up to you guys. Yeah, it's all there for you to decide, so.
You have
Well,
any
I think
thoughts?
that's the information I need. Again, I would like to have Ed in on this decision too.
Okay,
Okay,
Can we table that to the next meeting? Because
yeah,
taxes don't have to be out right away anyhow, right?
it would just be basically we just cut a check. I think that's what would happen with the letter.
so we could have just a conference call with Ed in our office, because, and he could be on a phone because he's obviously not able to get through with. I told him he can try to get in with the audio and not video, so he has all the package anyways, but you know, he stopped trying, so.
Okay. So the next item is the draft.
Yeah, so this was sent just this week. They sent the draft road maintenance agreement. I sent him the email with council's request, and as far as the change in the motion that the county had put forward, there was a number of changes that council wanted represented to the county. But I think with this agreement, before we even get past this stage, we need to have it reviewed by a lawyer, because I don't want to enter into an agreement, even if we'd make the changes and get stuck in an agreement that, well, we shouldn't have been in the first place, and get stuck paying 40 grand a year,
Well, that's the thing.
you know, and then have no control anyways, because county in the agreement structure and in the motion by that particular counselor from the county, he made it very restrictive on us. We had no control. I mean, and technically in the law, the party favors the organization that didn't write the agreement, but in this case, the agreement is so restrictive, it's not gonna favor us. Like, where they got total control and they can basically, put the road ban on whenever they want.
Well, yeah, I had some real concerns with some of the things. I thought the thing about, the gravel was kind of vague, that they could just send us a bill for gravel, whatever the heck they feel like.
Number 6.
And the other thing is, it said that the road ban may be removed by Victoria Day. Well, we kind of need it for the road ban off by Victoria Day. You know, that's when people are getting out to get their cottages open and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, and the other part was, let's say if Paradise Shores or whatever opens up, then that's gonna change that amount of money that we're pushing into this too.
Yeah.
If there's another subdivision in the county lands behind Goshen Sands Heights and Paradise Shores, that quarter section is open, and there's the one next to it is open for development too.
So I think getting some legal advice on this is appropriate.
Yeah. And we should, if possible, be able to have this done up again and the changes in red kind of deal, like you would do a land use bylaw. Like
He
that's-
didn't send this to me in Word, so I could go through and make the changes, but I want a lawyer that specializes in these type of agreements to go
Yeah.
through all the things that. But the problem we've been having, and this is the whole problem from the beginning, is the two best law firms that handle development, and they're both county firms as well, so they won't touch this agreement because it's conflict of interest for them. So I've asked them to give me any lawyers that used to work for them or specialize in certain areas that do boutique work, small work, so that we can hire them to review this stuff, because this isn't the only problem we're gonna have with the county.
No.
And so we
No.
do need a lawyer that we can call on that does land and agreements and roads and stuff, so that we can get proper advice. Cause this is just gonna be $40,000 a year in perpetuity, or if we grow, maybe they're gonna wanna grow it, or, you know, they're not
Yeah,
reducing
no,
it as
it's too loosey.
paradise, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's extremely slanted towards and favorable to the county and not equally beneficial, if you will.
Yeah.
Dean, if you're having trouble
Well-
finding a lawyer that does this, if they can't give you a name, let me know. My son is a lawyer. And I'm not suggesting that he do any work for us, but he might be able to give us.
Does he do
advice.
municipal stuff? Is that his?
No, but I don't want him to do it. I want him to, he could
Okay, good.
give us a
I think
referral.
it's-
He could give us a referral to somebody that he knows that is good at this too.
Yeah,
Yeah, as long as he knows that Brownlee can't do it. And Merson Reynolds.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if
yeah.
I can ask him for
Yeah,
a,
and there are small firms out there that do municipal work too, but the two best ones are Brownlee Law, which is set up as a municipal one, and Reynolds Mirth Farmer. And unfortunately, we're gonna conflict on both of those right away, like with this and the other in-camera one.
well, I'll ask him. I'm seeing him this afternoon. So I'll
Okay.
ask him if he's got anybody he knows. Like I say, I'm not trying to find him business. I just, and he probably wouldn't take it, but he's just a little single guy, but he has
Okay.
lots of good contacts.
Okay,
Thanks, Bob. 9.4.
so we're tabling this for now?
I think.
Or do you want to
could-
give a
could-
motion that we seek a legal opinion before we go ahead?
I think we should do that.
Yeah, and I think we would like the changes from the original to this. In red, what's
Okay.
been changed. And
Any
then
changes,
any changes in the future as well, whatever the attorney thinks. Yeah,
we'd like marked up copies.
marked up.
Sounds good.
So you want me to make that motion?
I could do that. I'll make a motion that we have, we send this agreement to a municipal lawyer to get some advice on whether we should sign this or not.
Well, I
Or
wouldn't sign it at this rate, but I
make
would
change-
wanna,
Make the changes necessary.
yeah, I would wanna recraft it for sure,
Okay,
okay?
all in favor, yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Request for volunteers for the
Okay, so.
fishing derby.
So since we found out, originally Byron Geddes from the Stettler Board of Trade had asked us to host the polar plunge here, and now they've decided to move it, so, but because the Hall Society isn't gonna be active in hosting people, we probably need to ask for volunteers to come. I'm willing to come and serve coffee and hot chocolate during the Saturday, Sunday. If we're not doing anything Monday, everything's over there Monday, I'll volunteer over there Monday. But if anybody wants to, offer hot chocolate, coffee, Tim Hortons donuts or whatever, it would be nice to have a few other people willing, so we can advertise. If you guys want to do that, we'll put it on our newsletter, or if you know people, Lauren, that would want to step up and help out.
Yeah, I'll put it in the newsletter
Okay,
that I'm gonna send out. So it's the 20th, is it the? No,
what's the date again?
18th, 19th, isn't it, for the Jack?
Jack
Big Jack
Classic.
Classic?
18, 19.
Yeah, so it'll be the Saturday, Sunday in the hall. The hall's booked for that purpose.
Who booked the hall?
I thought it was the Byron's group.
Oh,
She told me that somebody booked it for the event.
Okay.
It was one of Byron's staff. Because they need a warming area, just in case it's really cold, people are gonna wanna come in and warm up. And I thought we can use the carafes, the big huge things to make boil hot water and make coffee. And then people can have coffee and I'll probably pick up a couple boxes of Timmy's, Timbits or something. And maybe if someone wants to contribute baking or whatever, we can people can buy it and the money go toward the Hall Society. Even though it's not officially a Hall Society event, it would,
Yeah. Okay.
just so we're represented well. So we're okay with that, so,
Yes,
Your motion,
okay, Lauren, wanna give a motion, okay,
Yeah.
what's the motion?
to ask for community assistance
Okay,
in those dates for hosting the Big Jack Classic at the White Sands Hall. Money going towards
You
White
know,
Sands
it should-
Recreation or something.
Like, time-wise, it's from, what?
I think it'd probably be from like 8 AM to 5 PM or 8 AM to something like that,
Dawn to dusk kind of thing? Or-
I guess.
I don't know, or, like,
Like they've asked if our bathrooms are ready, the outdoor bathrooms were cleaned out and everything, they just want toilet paper in there. But they wanna someplace warm and they wanna have a bathroom here just as well.
okay.
So if we go,
So, depending on the volunteers, maybe it should be done in shifts, so that.
yeah, absolutely, we'll break it into shifts.
Yeah.
But I think the actual banquet is at Roshan and it starts around 5 and the prizes and awards and all that.
Yeah, so,
And I think Roshan's giving away $500 group camping and firewood for a weekend as their prize. So I don't know if you guys wanted to do anything. It's up to you guys.
did you have any thoughts on that, Bob?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what we could give away, right? Like they've got a campground that they. I don't know what we would have to give.
Donate to
Yeah,
as
you
well.
can purchase coolers or something like that. Give
Yeah.
away a cooler and a thermos,
Yeah, I can go to town and pick up some stuff,
Canadian Tire,
Yeah.
whatever.
That'd be a motion.
but we need an amount.
Or just,
You
we
set
could
the
just give
amount,
out,
your budget.
or
I'm
we
not gonna go spend it.
we could give out a Canadian Tire gift certificate so they could go buy a new fishing rod or something like that. Huh?
That could be,
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
give away some Canadian draw price gift certificates or something.
How much, Robert?
What do you think? $200?
Yes, so.
Cause whatever money we make selling hot dogs or Timmy's and coffee or whatever, we'll just put it right back into the rec hall anyways, so.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I have so moved by Mayor Thurston to donate to the Big Jack Classic at a maximum budget of $200.
2,000, big spenders,
$200.
ching ching. Okay,
So I motion that we budget $200 in prizes for the Derby.
yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, all in favor, yeah. Okay, railside design, we already went to do that. Oh, sorry, the agreement with the,
yeah, so this is the final draft of the regional emergency partnership agreement that we've all, council's previously agreed to. So you've got the 2 copies there to sign. And we've got to get 2 copies signed by both communities, and then you can sign the 2 fresh ones up top.
are
Yeah.
we, how many?
And so this locks us in, I don't know, till they renew it again. Last one they renewed, I think it was in 2008, and then 2018, they had a increase for this. Kind of sets the framework for us to get provincial funding for having a regional
Yeah,
program.
are we the last ones to sign, or do you know?
No, I have no idea, because I just got it. So it just came this week, so.
I
So
mean, I
I've got to
think,
get Dan to sign as well.
I think with Clint seems to be doing a really good job on this, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and council has previously approved the original agreements, that these are just the final drafts for council to sign. Unless you guys have any concerns about anything in them.
No, I thought it was okay.
The only concern is, the municipality share is calculated by regional equalization. 50% is based on municipal assessment, regional equalization. And then 25% is calculated by 1/6 total cost, and 12% is by municipal population. So obviously our assessment is quite low on the average compared to all the other communities and that are involved in this. And then the municipal dwelling count is the other 12.5%. Versus the whole regional dwelling count. So that's how they do the calculation. It's a 50%, 25%, 12, 5. So we'll know more or less the numbers. We had budgeted previous years up to $10,000 to be part of this, but we didn't spend it last year because we didn't get an invoice. So
Do you know, do you have an idea what it would be?
no, not yet. They haven't invoiced because we haven't signed the agreement yet. So, okay. So look at these 2.
Like signing things that aren't got a total on them, but
So we'll have to get these signed and scanned in, send to Clint. Okay,
okay, railside.
so the other one was
RFD,
rail side design, which we've already covered, and you guys passed a motion on 9.6 already. The other one is the environmental engineering services. So either we can go with the existing engineer that we have to have them, because we're using them for the subdivision, but you showed me those drainage plans and stuff that you had for the subdivision. A lot of that is good data, and it could be extended to the other areas that we have to have our drainage plan done.
the ones I sent you yesterday,
Yeah,
yeah.
so we could use one of those firms. I don't have a preference, so you guys tell me. But we have to get our drainage plan done and submitted.
Well, the engineer that we have for the village. I don't know, you think we should stick with them, Bob?
So
Well,
you guys tell me.
I
what
don't
you
know,
want to do.
I don't really know a whole lot about that. So are they? Have they been good in the past?
Cause I could call those two firms that did those other reports and ask them if they would be willing to give us that data plus whatever the new area is.
That,
Cause I don't wanna redo a survey, I don't wanna, like, redo all these other things in order to get. Cause it's really a drainage plan, it's an overland drainage plan, it's not we don't have to have in depth as much as we would for subdivisions.
storm.
Yeah, so then we have to submit that to the province and then we can also deal with Stephanie Keynes's issue.
Right, so there's, we've used Tagish before,
Yeah, I talked to them already. Yeah.
and then that DJE or whatever,
Mhm.
that company, that. What's his name?
And we're using Alterra for the subdivision
Right.
roads, but that's all we're using it for.
And that DJE that Scott Simon, well, he's the one that quit. Just chicken movie left
Okay,
on a Friday and I phoned on Monday for something and he was gone.
okay.
So I don't know about that company, but I think they got bought out by that Alterra.
So let me know what you would prefer as a council.
I don't know, Robert, maybe we should. Stay with the ones that we use now.
Tara?
I think if we have a firm that is giving us good
Will
service in the
expand
past,
their-
I think we stick with them.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the thing is too, well, they worked on the original, like one of the partners there worked on the original subdivisions within the village.
So then I think we stick with them.
John Wolfert's son, and you're our other bread deal,
That's fine.
Alterra,
I guess so.
I'll ask them for a quote. And, I don't, if they're too high, then,
We'll go somewhere
Yeah,
else. I know that there was, Associated, we have had work with. through-
Associated is the most expensive.
Yeah.
So we're using WSP at Roshan and they'd be willing to look at it as on a retainer basis. So I can bring both quotes to you and
Yeah,
see.
probably, that's what
Okay.
we should do.
Okay. Okay,
So,
and then,
the county recycling,
Did we have to do something on lights?
that's the letter, but we've got the quotes from Van Electric, which was 9 point. What was it?
9.8, we added the lights.
So
Oh, yeah,
Van Electric.
okay.
Van Electric sent us a quote for the hall. Well, we're gonna do the bathrooms anyways, because he found some electrical issues. So he's gonna fix that for us and get new lights in the bathroom. But he also gave us quotes for us to go and get that federal government matching energy quote to go to LED lighting. So he figured he can replace these lights with the standardized without having to do any painting or whatever.
Yeah,
Let's
looks like,
just take them off. He met with you on that, right? So I've got the two quotes here. And Bob, you've seen the quotes, right?
No, I haven't.
Oh, I thought you and Lauren had shared these quotes already.
you gave me,
I gave you the quotes.
paper copy.
Yeah, paper copies, okay. Anyways, so then the other thing would be, we talked about changing the lighting in the next building over, and then we talked about cutting a doorway in and making this co-joined, and then that. So if I apply for the grant, I can, based on these two quotes, I can apply for the grant. If you get 50% back, then it covers, the two quotes are $14,000 total for all the electrical work and then lighting and everything. And then if we apply for the grant, I was kind of hoping to get a little bit more, but because if we tie in the new building, we'd get additional funds.
So that one that, we first looked at was the estimate on fixing everything in here to LED lights. And then if there was an addition put on here, then that was also in that quote.
I've got a third quote.
Yeah.
So it's based on the rough square footage and the digital lighting that would be required for that.
So that would.
But that's gonna
That's
change because of
changed.
whatever design you guys do, right?
Right.
So do you wanna, like, he's gonna replace the bathroom lights and then we've got some ballasts that are wrecked. So do you guys wanna go ahead and do this?
I think,
At this
I
time?
think we do the basic, I think we do the basic maintenance that has to be done at this point in time, and then I'd like to see the quotes and study them before we make any other decisions.
Sorry,
Like if there's lights in the bathroom and wasn't there a light in the parking lot that was a problem or something?
yeah,
Yeah,
there's some ballasts that aren't working, there's the kitchen lights, but it would all be to go to LED lighting and then get the government grant to match, or get, after we submit the grant, get the money back, 50%.
Well, we certainly have to get anything fixed that's not working.
Yeah.
yeah, and I guess down the road, the usage of power would be, you know, it'd take quite a while to pay for it, but
Well, you get 50% of the money back from the
50%
program.
of the money, maybe it's worth doing the,
But if he just replaces these lights as it is and replaces the burned out ballast, then the cost of replacing those ones would be, these aren't that expensive per fixture. So,
yeah. Well, I think the LEDs would be probably the way to go if we get the grant.
Yeah, I think so.
you get the grant after you spend money.
Yeah.
So you have to submit the proposals and then you do the work and then you get the grant. So that's normally how that federal program works.
Are you okay with that, Bob, or are you kind of hesitating?
Well, I guess, is this going, I guess my other thing is if we decide, is it gonna affect anything when if we decide to add on to the hall as opposed to building a whole new building?
Well, when we do the MSI, we can apply for this under the MSI as well, right? Because this would be a capital purchase under our building infrastructure, so we could get this covered under our MSI as well. Because this is technically the community hall. Even if we build a new community hall, it would all go under one pool of money, right? Called the community hall. We wouldn't break it into separate items. So as long as it's a capital item above $5,000, we can apply it to the MSI. And if you look in our financials, we do have some other grants that are still outstanding, because we have SIP grant, which is a previous grant. We still had 29,000, and we're trying to use that for last year's gravel to get rid of that. We also have unearned BMTG grant of 14,000, which basically would cover this lighting. And then we also have paid that we've got cash, but unearned MSI for 168,000. And we've got unearned former federal gas tax grants for 52,000. So we can't use gas tax for this building because it's for roads and other infrastructure, but we can, well, they're more flexible, I guess, but the BMTG grant, which is the building municipality fund, it can be used, as well as the unearned SIP grants. So I could talk to Lori, and because we've already received the money, so we just have to get it off our books.
So do you think
So,
all of this could get paid for with grant money then?
yeah, so we can use existing grants that we've gotten cash for, plus we don't have to take it out of our cash flow per se, and then we can get 50% back if we do the projects. And submit it to the feds, because this is provincial money versus the federal money, so.
Sorry, could you explain that again? So we can use grant money first, and then so is this gonna come out of, is any of this money gonna come out of our uh,
Tax
our
budget.
pocket, or is it all gonna be grant money?
Yeah, so we have this pool of money, 266,000 that we've received from the provincial government and the federal governments that we haven't spent.
Right,
So, and some of them are older programs up to 7 years old. And so we've already received the cash. It's sitting in our bank account. And we have to get it off our books and report that it's off our books now to the different agencies so
right.
that they won't keep a record of it forever. But we have the money. It's sitting there in our
Okay,
bank
then
account.
I'm okay with doing it then, yeah.
Yeah, and we are gonna use a piece of the SIP grants for gravel and
Yes.
dust control for 2022 to reduce that in our year-end financial statements. But we still have the unearned BMTG grant, which we've received $14,881. And we still have our unearned federal gas tax grant of 52,000 and our restricted grant fund, which is our other program grants that we've got 168,000. I think that was for that water facility. So we still got that money, and that money, if we get it unrestricted and put towards the hall, between the MSI and that 168, that goes to pay for almost half the hall, or depending on what you guys do, right? So it's not new money, it's basically money you have that's from grant programs.
Okay, that's fine.
And I guess just on the side note, some of them programs then that we have, the money sitting there, they're not, like the SIP is no more, isn't it? Gone?
The SIP's been gone for 3 years, but we
Yeah.
still have it on our books,
So we
so
gotta
we still have to report it.
so we gotta get rid of some of that. And this would be, instead of, we're not.
Yeah,
we're
and Lori
using
gave you a
them,
breakdown on all these grants and what we owe and all that stuff.
not tax.
So do you want to use it for lighting?
Yes. I
Okay,
think
so
so.
do you want to do the two, this building and that building, and just get the lighting done?
I think
And we could
so.
still store these and people give them away to people for their garages or whatever, but we've got brand new LED lighting next door, so we don't need it for there.
Right.
So
No, I'll make that.
I don't know what the value of these are on the market. If they have old ballast, probably not a lot.
Nobody wants to.
You can give them away.
I own an LED company, nobody wants to. I pay for disposal. Yeah, so if you
Exactly.
can Get somebody to take them away,
Yeah.
We could.
So there's no trade-in value.
Put it in the newsletter. They're all T8s.
Okay, so you're gonna make that motion, Lauren?
Okay,
Yes,
Okay, I'll vote in favor of that. That we replace the lighting in the.
Yeah.
To LED lighting.
yeah. So, yeah, I'll send you the digital package, Bob. I thought you'd already received it, so.
Yeah, no, I'd like to look at it.
So basically, for cost reduction, this new system is supposed to reduce consumption by 85%. So
Okay, good.
I don't know how long that would be to recover, but whatever. It's, okay.
so there's a letter here from the county to the town.
Yeah, so what's happening, I just wanted to give you guys an update. The county has had these recycling containers in all the different communities. We have one in Roshan. I don't know if you have one here that's county owned.
But no, we pay.
Cardboard?
We pay for that ourselves.
Okay,
We
so-
pay for the bin and for taking it away.
So what was happening is they would fill too fast and people weren't compressing everything. So they were having to be removed a lot. And then they were supposed to go to a recycler in Statler who was supposed to compress it all and ship it off. It's not happening the way it was supposed to be happening. So the county's decided to put fees and costs to everybody who's using the county's facility. And so they haven't sent us a letter or you a letter yet, but I just wanted to make you aware that they're changing their cost structure. So the town of Stettler said, okay, well, if you're gonna charge us extra, just take them away. You know, we don't need to do that, like, recycling doesn't, doesn't pay for itself right now, so
No, it's paying, like,
it's too bad,
last
but
month it was around $250 for this.
it's just a heads up, yeah.
But the thing is, the county's gotta know, if they fire us, if they try to fire us off a letter, we'll just send a letter back to them saying, no, we don't use your cardboard bins, we have our own and we pay for it ourselves.
No, that's why we didn't get the letters, because so did we over there. But what happened, I talked to the hauler who came in right after Christmas, and I talked to him before Christmas, is that 70% of all because the cardboard bin was full, after Christmas, 70% of the waste was actually just cardboard and wrapping stuff. So it was, they had double the number of haulaways from January to January 10th, I think. January 1st to January 10th, that they normally would for normal household waste. So I'm assuming it was like that here too. The Roshan Sands was full, and it wasn't like it was, we only have 22 full-time residents in Roshan in the winter. So a lot of that came from,
County,
yeah.
where you live.
I didn't drop anything off. Yes. Yes, so that's just an update on that, just in case. And then, I think Bob was thinking about attending the Brownlee, Emerging Trends in Municipal Law. There's an online version as well as a live version. And there's a live version in Calgary on February 9th, and in Edmonton, there's a live version on February 16th. So what this is they've got a list of topics that they go through and discuss relevant to the municipalities. And the two biggest ones that we need to be on top of, obviously agreements, but subdivision, you guys should educate yourself on what is involved in the subdivision process and hear all these good stories and disaster stories from other municipalities. And then the other thing is HR, because they discuss HR, they discuss subdivisions, agreements, contracts and stuff,
I'm registered for that
intermunicipal disputes.
already.
Yeah.
Bob?
I'm away, I'm not in Calgary on the 9th, so I'll have to look and see whether I am available for that Edmonton one, so.
Okay, so you're registered for that?
No, I'm not. I'm gonna have to look and see what I'm, whether I can, I'm out of town, whether I'm available that day or not, but I'll let you know.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
I did the
the subdivision,
subdivision
but
and
that's the
appeal board.
appeal board,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I would encourage us, just because we've got two big issues. We've got three, because we've got the road agreement, we've got which is $40,000 a year. We've got the subdivision, which is potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we've got the HR issue that we've got to deal with.
Yeah,
And so that's,
I'm registered for this one.
you should,
I am.
okay, good.
Yeah.
So, and Bob, it'd be a great experience. You'd get to meet a lot of the other counselors, even if you're just doing it online. But
Okay,
if you're live, you get to talk with the lawyers in their specialty areas. And, because we've got some issues.
okay, I'll look at my schedule and let you know.
Okay, good. That's it for me.
Camera, right? Move into camera.
Yeah, we've been camera to deal with those couple issues.
Well, thanks for coming.
Thanks. You can email me or whatever if you have any questions or concerns.